Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the SMC Wrestling Podcast. You guys have no idea how weird that feels to say that, but yes, we are back. It is an Outsider's Edge edition of the SMC Wrestling Podcast. Just your boy Rance, aka Ray Cash, here with partner in crime, my boy, my ace, Karl. What's good?
Uh, Everything's good, man. Getting my, like I was telling you earlier, getting my ducks in a row, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, all that stuff, putting lines through my sevens, because I'm OCD like that, and
Lines through my
get
sevens.
getting ready to go to New Orleans tomorrow.
Yeah, it's that
Uh,
time of year. It's WrestleMania season, guys.
yeah,
So did you miss us is the first question because we've been gone a while. I
I
had to,
probably didn't.
no, not at all. We had to spend the summer with our grandmothers. Uh, but no, we need to talk about some business. We need to be serious for a minute before we get into the good stuff. Um, I'm sure you guys have noticed that there has not been an episode of the SMC Wrestling Podcast in a long time, and life happens. Karl is a very busy individual. He's a father, a college student, and a husband. Caleb is a very busy individual in that he has a very demanding job, and he lives in an area where sometimes it's not easiest for him to be able to record. And God, if y'all know my story, you know, but
They ain't got all that kind. They ain't got that much time,
we ain't
Rance.
got that much time. That's a full 2 hour podcast. But uh, we took this endeavor almost a year ago, and we really wanted to give you guys great content, give you something different, give you three different sides of the same coin. And I think we did as good a job as we could have. We definitely could. We probably could have done more, but I think we gave you the best content we could have given you. So I want to announce now, before we get any further, that this will be the last episode of this podcast, as known as the SMC Wrestling Podcast, and we will be rebooting. I'm pretty sure uh, if you guys know Carl and I, you might have an idea of what it's going to be more similar to. But we'll let you guys find it out next week. But before we go any further, I want to show some love and give a very heartfelt thank you and send off to my boy Caleb and Baldwin, aka the Bathtub, aka the Smark. Um, Caleb was he would tell you that I was the biggest part of the podcast, but I would argue that he was in many respects because we wouldn't have one if it wasn't for him. Carl and I have known each other for 8 years, 7, 8 years, and been tight for the majority of that 8 years. But we talked about podcasts for years and never really seriously considered it until we met Caleb. And Caleb is a very infectious guy. He kind
Yeah.
of he sticks to you, and I mean that in a positive way. I really do. And so he it was really a passionate endeavor of his to want to give opinions through audio, and we owe him for that. He has really pushed us to expand our horizons. Carl and I both attended our first big indie show with Caleb. We owe that to him, and now we both actually care about the indies a lot more now than we did before. We owe that to Caleb. Um, he's not gone. He's still our friend. He is not. There is no ill will between any parts. Caleb only stepped away from the podcast because he seems to have found a bigger and better calling as a column writer, a featured column writer for Social Suplex. So shout out to my boy Caleb. You can read his Ring of Honor reports and his Impact reports on Social Suplex. And if you know anything about the dude, he's very, very serious about what he does. So like his first Impact report was like 3,000 words. So it's real. But
Yeah. Hey, Caleb, I didn't read that. If you're listening to this, I love you. Just want you to know that.
well, I told him I read the first one because it's him, but I'm not reading shit about Impact. I'm not.
I did
Uh,
read something. He did a little blurb when he first started, and I
yeah,
did read it. So he's got a knack for it, and
absolutely.
we're all still under the Social Suplex umbrella, so it's not like we're beefing or anything. I'm not going to see him on the streets of New Orleans this weekend and whoop his ass or anything like that. He might tell you otherwise, but
But yes, so thank you, Caleb, for all your hard work and everything you've done for the podcast. And, you know, got to keep it moving, man.
Yeah, and one more thing, Caleb. To Caleb, I want to say this: fix your internet, and that's it. That's it.
With
I
love.
think that's the perfect way to send them off. Fix your
Yes.
damn internet.
Fix your damn internet from Karl and Rance with love.
Exactly.
And I guarantee you, man, look, we'll have Caleb on whenever he wants to come on. Like, it's still family, but we
Oh
got to
yeah, we'll
keep it
bring him on.
moving. We've been given an opportunity to kind of do something different. That
It's a bit of a flip for us because you and I used to write all the time, and
yes,
so we got lazy about writing. So we were like, let's just talk instead because I don't have to like type anything. I don't have to backspace.
man,
I can
look,
just,
yes.
you know what I mean? So no spell check reviews, any of that stuff. Now I could just run my mouth.
Karl has been a main pager of Lords of Pain twice. I've
Yeah.
been a main pager once and started a magazine, and now here we are. Caleb is the one who didn't want to write, now he's writing. We're the ones who didn't want to podcast, now we're podcasting. You never know where you're gonna end up.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's WrestleMania season. We definitely want to run through the WrestleMania card and do some other fun stuff, but sometimes something so not necessarily big, but so interesting happens that you kind of gotta give it credence and talk about it. And you guys know me, I'm supposed to be the controversial one. So there was a story that recently came out. Cody Rhodes, or don't call me Rhodes, excuse me, got cut up in his match with in his tag match with him and Hangman Page versus Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega, the Golden Lovers. A pretty significant eye cut. And the same show, Will Ospreay damn near broke his neck doing a C4 or Spanish Fly, if that's what you know it by, off of the apron onto the ground with Marty Scurll, and he, kind of compressed his neck. And New Japan, the WWE as well. I'm not making this New Japan thing, but WWE has had a bunch of New Japan in particular has had a bunch of a recent string of injuries that look manageable, like they don't have to happen. Like injuries are going to happen in wrestling, right? But some were, that didn't have to happen, right? You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
of course, they had a back and forth where Cody kind of ethered him because Disco Inferno he said that they don't know how to work and things of that nature, and Cody ethered them. But I think there's a bigger story there, and I wanted to ask you about this on Wax. You could tell I grew up with grandparents, Wax, 33s and shit.
Wax poetic.
I grew up with the phonograph in my house, dog. What you expect? But no, I don't want to talk about who do you side with, Cody or Disco, because even though I
Sure.
agree with Disco said, what Disco said was wrong, how he said it. Clearly, Cody knows how to work. Clearly, Kenny Omega knows how to work. These guys know how to work. But I think there's a bigger issue with non-WWE wrestling in general, and I think that when WWE bought WCW and there was that void of competition, and so many fans who grew up to be wrestlers and so many wrestlers who upped their status and got more popular from 2003, 4-ish on, kind of changed that aspect of the business. The question I want to ask you is,
Yeah.
are wrestlers not safe enough? Do they work too hard? Because, and I say that because this ain't 1980 where where Hulk Hogan is beating you with a back rake and a leg drop.
Right.
I'm not saying that. We've gone further than that. But I think that Kenny Omega is a perfect guy to use as an example. I think that Kenny is so over. He's easily one of the 3 best wrestlers in the world. I think consensus
Yeah.
we all say Kenny, AJ, and Okada. Take your pick.
Sure.
But does Kenny have to do the things he does every match? Because he's
Right.
over enough to tell the story without having to kill himself every match.
Yeah. Well, to the original question, touching on Kenny for a second. Just repeat it. Do I think that workers are too unsafe? Is that what you're asking me?
Do you think they work too hard? Because the whole point of wrestling in the business is to be safe and
Yeah,
fake how dangerous it is.
do
But
it
the
safely.
level of danger is actually more real now than it's ever been. And I'm not talking
Okay.
not hardcore matches, just regular standard matches.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's important to think about this specifically, and I could be wrong, and feel free to correct me if I am on this.
Okay.
But as far as I know, of all the wrestling promotions that I can think of that we might know of in the mainstream,
Hmm.
I would consider. I mean, obviously WWE is the mainest of mainstream, really, but
Right.
you know what I mean. The ones that anybody listening to this have heard of: NJPW,
Yeah, Ring of
uh,
Honor,
Ring of
Impact,
Honor, those
Evolve.
types.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as I know, WWE is one of the only ones that has really taken issue with the concussions and that kind of thing, but I
Publicly,
think is
yes. Publicly.
partly due to people, popping pills and ended up, all the stuff that was going on with them back when they had the steroid trial and stuff.
It
Like,
was a necessity, yes.
it was something that had to be done for them because, especially now, even more so now that they're publicly traded and things like that.
Hmm.
So WWE holds themselves to their own standard. Now, whether I could argue that we as fans should respect that standard
Hmm.
because, and they don't always, not everybody, but they
Hmm.
don't. And so they might see the WWE style as boring or not as exciting. And that's why, when guys
Contrived,
come
I
in,
would say.
right. Yeah. And that's why when guys come in, they have to learn the WWE style because they're used to being crazy in the other places they work.
Sure.
So I think part of it, not all of it, but I think a small part of it is the fact that these other promotions haven't necessarily the thing hasn't happened that's going to make them stop what they're doing. The thing hasn't happened, if that makes sense. Like, now don't get me wrong, I can't remember all the names in New Japan, but there was someone who was supposed to like never come back. I don't think he's going
Shibata.
to wrestle with.
Shibata.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's one. I mean, this is, and it's probably due to the style, what was going
Oh,
on
it
in the
was
ring, the way they
directly
were
due to the
doing.
style. He headbutted Okada and started bleeding from the crown of his head. Yes.
So how they react to that is up to them. Right now, they haven't done anything, but a string of those things at some point, if it brings the wrong publicity along, maybe that changes it. So I think part of the culture is that because they haven't been hit over the head with a major lawsuit or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So hit the pocketbook first. That's part of the problem.
Okay.
As far as like why I think they're okay with the working hard, and I think a lot of fans don't think about those kinds of things. We don't think about that side of it, because we just want to be entertained, and
Clearly we don't. Yeah. We're happy.
yeah,
The majority of fans are happy Daniel Bryan's back. So clearly it's
right,
not about health. It's about entertainment, which is okay. Just call a
right,
spade a spade.
right. So the other thing I think is, especially in New Japan, they've made this name off of the style.
Strong style.
So,
Puro. Yeah.
however, the strong style, however long they've been doing this specifics, I don't know much about New Japan. Okay, so I'm not
Okay.
going to sit here and act like I know everything. But however long they've been doing this style was probably way before Kenny Omega ever signed up.
Oh, hell yeah. Back when
So,
Antonio Inoki started the promotion. Yeah. Years.
in a lot of ways, once again, it's a culture thing. Like, it's almost like you come in and you're kind of expected to be that. So for Kenny, does he need to do all that? No. Like, you can look at, I mean, he's just as good, if not better, than AJ Styles, arguably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and Kenny, and you see AJ Styles working in WWE. Now, he's worked in New Japan as well, but he works in WWE, and he didn't got to do any of that stuff. Now,
Oh, yeah.
granted, he's a little bit older, so that's
This is true.
call it what it is, but he doesn't have to do any of that crazy stuff because he's so over. And Kenny's the same way. If Kenny walked into WWE tomorrow, he don't want to apparently, but if he did and he came over there, I know,
Yes. It's a
but
yes, but yeah.
but if he did and came over, he would immediately have to change.
Adapt.
So
I don't like the word change.
yeah,
Adapt.
that's fair. That's fair. But and it'd probably be better on his body in the long run, But no, I don't think he has to. And I guess I haven't really answered the question. I've kind of worked my way to it. I'm sorry about that,
No,
but
it's okay, and you're working to a kind of a good part of the conversation.
yeah,
Because I want to say this. WWE is safe, right? But the reason WWE style is the way it is because they wrestle 300 days a year, 250, 275, 300 days a year.
sure,
So they devalued the wrestling side for the entertainment side to become more profitable and safer. And now they don't sell great matches, they sell moments, right? And there's always still going
sure,
to be great matches. I mean, just look at
absolutely,
we just had Finn and Seth. What they did Monday was great,
yeah,
and that was just on the go home Raw. So there's always great matches, but there's great matches everywhere. WWE wanted to transcend their bubble, if you will, and they
right.
have. Um, but I think the issue for me, um, I think back to, and I really didn't want to make this a Cody Disco thing, but I want to think of Disco's mindset for a second. Yes, Disco was a mid Carter, career mid Carter. Yes, Disco never drew a dime. And to go off on a quick tangent, it pisses me off personally when people say just because you didn't draw a dime in wrestling, you have no say so. Then
Sure.
tell Lance Storm to get rid of his company. And tell all these guys who are calling matches or working backstage to quit and just let Hogan, Cena, Rock, and Austin and Taker and these guys book everything because that's asinine. He
Yeah.
knows wrestling.
Sure.
Just because he didn't draw a dime or is not saying what you want doesn't mean the dude doesn't know wrestling. So that pissed me off personally. But that's another conversation. Uh, but Disco was a mid Carter and a prominent mid Carter because he was featured at the hottest time of the business, right? So he knows
Absolutely. I mean, if you watch that wrestling in that time period, you know who Disco Inferno is.
exactly.
Especially if you watch WCW, you absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's not one of these random cruiserweights that you might
Yeah.
have seen a
He's
couple
not
of
Kenny
times and things like that.
Chaos. Yeah.
Sure,
You
yeah. I
know?
mean, he
Yeah.
was known. He won television title, I believe, when he was there at one point.
Yeah. He won television
I
title a
mean,
bunch of times. Won a tag title. I think he won the U.S. title. Yeah.
sure. I
He's a
mean,
very visible part of that of the Attitude Era
sure.
in WCW at least.
Right.
But I want you to think about his time period and all the people he grew up with in the business, Benoit and Guerrero and all these just those are the two that come to the top of my head, and all these other people who have Owen Hart and Mr. Perfect and all these people who abused their bodies and went hard. And he wasn't part of that ECW hardcore revival that they started, but that's all the same time period, right?
Right.
So I don't think he's saying that Kenny and Cody or these guys don't know how to work, these indie guys don't know how to work, because it sounds curmudgeonly, get off my lawn type stuff. But I think there's a bigger point that Mick Foley can probably speak to in the whole Kane Dewey um, angle he did at ECW, where he in the angle, and this is real life, and if you don't know the angle, there was he was having a match in ECW when he was Cactus Jack in like 95, 96, and somebody held up a sign that said Kane Dewey. Well, Dewey is his son, right? And at the time, Dewey was like 5 years old. So that's disgusting, to
Sure. Yeah.
to imply that your son, who's five, your son at all, 5, 7, 8, whatever, should be caned. And he was really pissed. So he decided to make an angle out of it. And so the angle became, well, he made his name off of doing these death matches with Terry Funk, where he blew up his body and had his ear ripped off and left flesh and blood everywhere on all continents. And now he felt like he was raising a generation of savages who were just bloodthirsty and didn't care about the performance, just cared about the performance. And so he
Right.
started wrestling really, really boring and slow. I'm not saying that that's what should happen, but I think that wrestling, and I'm not gonna say there's no psychology because there's not. I watched the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks tag team match, and while it was too brutal, I think well, it might have warranted it because of the build up, but there was a lot of psychology in that match. So I'm not saying there's no kind of psychology in non WWE matches or indie matches or New Japan matches, but I think what's lost on these guys is that the whole point of wrestling is not only to be safe and to show that it's more dangerous than it is, but is to lead the crowd into what you want them to do, and not let the crowd lead you into what they think you should do. That's what it's supposed to be. Now, I'm not saying the crowd doesn't have a say so. The crowd
Sure, yeah.
definitely should play a part in it's a give and take relationship. But and I think of these guys who Osprey and Ricochet are two that come to example that go so hard and do so many things in the span of a regular match that a lot of times ain't even advertised. And yes, you love it and it's passionate and it's amazing and all of that. I get it. But I just think the level of danger has been upped so much to where, you don't have to wrestle every match 30 minutes and at the end of the match we're questioning, oh my God, can you wrestle the next one? Well, Osprey almost missed this weekend because of that botch. And yeah, it was a botch. It wasn't planned. It's something that just happened to happen. But, I just want these guys to be around 20 years from now, and not like
Sure.
alive, but like walking and comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing I wanted to kind of say about, I think your broader point is correct, and the whole thing is correct, really. But I think when you could kind of compare the Cody Kenny situation that happened on the same show as Osprey, and it was
Skrull.
Marty Skrull. Yeah. I thought that the thing that happened with Cody and Kenny, well, they're both accidents.
Absolutely.
But I thought the Cody Kenny thing was more like a whoopsie. Like they weren't being like intentionally reckless, in my opinion, in the ring.
Sure.
I felt like the Skrull Osprey thing was reckless. And the reason why I say that is because, and I'm not trying to shit on those guys, because I do think they're both extremely talented. I know they're both extremely talented.
Yeah.
But Osprey especially, he does all kinds of crazy shit. I mean, that's just what he does.
Yeah.
And eventually, you're going to pay a price on that. I get on Sasha Banks for this, and she works for the WWE, one of the safest, if not the safest wrestling company in the world.
But she's the most reckless wrestler probably in the company.
I get on her for that all the time because she doesn't care about what happens to her body, and I feel like the Osprey thing was reckless. Okay, and that's just my opinion. I'm one guy. It is what it is.
Sure.
But I do think to some degree, especially, I think they should all try and be safer. I get it sometimes, for the guys that are really trying to get noticed. But we know Kenny. We noticed Kenny. We noticed Osprey. We noticed of course Cody. In my opinion, everything I've seen from him, and he isn't like necessarily. He did crazy stuff in WWE too. I mean, he moonsaulted off the top of a cage one time. So I mean,
But big matches call for those things, Karl. I'm
sure.
not talking about a pay-per-view match or blow off. I'm talking about a random match in Poughkeepsie. Like no offense to anybody listening in Poughkeepsie, but there's a level of, so what I expect AJ and Shinsuke to do Sunday is definitely not what I would expect them to do at a random house show on a Wednesday night.
Absolutely.
It's just it's different levels, and the indie guys and I realize they're not indie guys, but the non-WWE guys, and Kenny and the Bucks probably lead the charge with this, which is probably why their fans are so endeared to them, is that they take every match in every city, in every armory, in every high school gym, in every place they go, like it's the main event of the Tokyo Dome. And there is a level of respect for that I will never ever take away from them. I respect them for it because it shows that you value your fans. You value every fan. Your cheapest fan, your most cheap in the word, you know what I mean, but your least blessed fan from a monetary standpoint to your richest fan. But the WWE gets attacked all the time for storytelling, right?
Yeah.
These guys are great storytellers, so they shouldn't have to tell the story so painfully.
Yeah. I agree with that. As a matter of fact, I've mentioned this several times. Outside of the old 24/7 hardcore title, which I love that whole thing, I don't like extremely violent wrestling matches. I've said that it's just not something I didn't care for ECW. And people like to shit on me for that because ECW was so beloved at the time.
I'm an ECW fan, yeah.
Yeah. I could care less. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't tell good stories. I'm not saying there weren't great things going on there, but the nature of that violence is just, it's not for me, and that's fine.
Sure.
Everybody has their own thing. So you don't have to tell me. I'd love for these guys to be safer, because to be honest with you, like, I'd like to see Kenny Omega maybe come to WWE one day,
Well,
because these
I
guys
think he
don't,
is.
I mean, these guys don't, I don't get a chance to see them that much, So like I'll be going to the Supercard of Honor. It'll be the first time I see Kenny Omega wrestle live. Period. I've seen him on other, on my computer screen,
Yeah.
or on my television. But so it's hard. They're not as accessible because they don't wrestle as much. They're not, you know what I mean? Like the WWE guys are on the road all the time. They're easy. I mean, granted, I'm not following them around like I'm Frank the Clown or
Sure.
anything, but you know what I mean? Like, but like they're going to city after city after city. They can be seen. If they come in your vicinity, you can see them multiple times a year if you want to.
Absolutely.
Not always like that with Kenny Omega or, the Young Bucks or whatever.
The Bucks more than Kenny. Kenny doesn't wrestle an American,
Right.
An American, tour, if you will, very
Yeah.
often. The Bucks wrestle in America all the time.
So, and of course, I know what the reaction will be. Well, don't just watch WWE. We'll see. And to that, I will say that's a fair argument if you have the time. But for people that don't necessarily always have the time, I mean, we're like you said at the top of the show. Part of the reasons we had, some issues with the podcast early on and later on is time constraints.
Straight time, yeah.
I mean, so I have to be pick and choose, and so for me, I've always liked WWE, and two, it's the most accessible. So yeah, I want to see some of these guys who are outstanding in other places. When I do get to watch them, come to a place that I watch often. Maybe it's selfish. I don't think it is. So I'm with you. I want to see these guys be safe. I want to see them protect themselves.
Right. And then, everybody likes different things. I'm not saying that I don't like everything in WWE, even though I like the majority of it. I don't dislike everything in New Japan. I like a good amount of it. But when I'm watching a match and Minoru Suzuki and Tomohiro Ishii literally just go at each other with stiff-ass forearms to the face for like 3 minutes, I get that that's a proud thing and it's cool and it's, oh my God. But at the end of the day, like, guys, you're like 45.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and so Suzuki is a guy and those two guys are guys I kind of give them, and we're going to move on because I know we're starting to get really specific now. But I give those two guys kind of the benefit of the doubt because they're not doing that to pop the crowd. That's literally the style they've wrestled since they started. Minoru Suzuki trained in wrestling to go fight MMA for like 10 years. So like that's their style. It's not like they're doing that because they want to pop the crowd. Like that's how they wrestle. But still, I'm not gonna say it's not safe, but they're good enough, they're over enough to wrestle a better style. And I'm not saying you got to be Hogan, you got to be Lex Luger, but you can tell better stories without having to damn near kill yourself every match. And that's all I'm saying. And I realize
and I agree. And
what we're saying is going to be misconstrued. I know it is, but
I'd like to put a little bit of a bow on it here because I just want to say this is kind of where I'll end it. And if you have something to add, that's fine.
Yeah.
I do think, and I'm not trying to place blame on anybody, whether it be the fans or the wrestlers or the promotions or the culture or whatever, it's a mishmash of a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think a lot of times for some of these guys, what got them noticed might not only have been their wrestling, but the crazy stuff they were willing to do.
Absolutely.
And at some point it becomes almost, maybe it isn't, but at some point they might feel like it's an expectation now. Like, this is what I have to do.
Sure.
Because this is what got me here. So now I got to keep doing this. I mean, I feel like we could ask someone like Caleb, who watches a lot of independent wrestling, if he would be upset if Kenny scaled back on all the crazy stuff he does. I don't know what his answer would be, but I feel like if it meant he knew that it would protect Kenny for the next 10 years, for 10 more years, give him that much more longevity, he'd be like, I don't care. I like Kenny how he is. I don't know.
As long as they're entertaining, it shouldn't matter.
Right. I agree. But I feel like, they may have it in their own heads. It's an expectation. This is what got me here. What you get, forget where you came, don't forget where you come from and things like that, So There could be that. I don't know. That would be the way I would like wrap it up. I think it's a
Sure.
lot of
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, it's a very very deep and complex conversation, which is why I didn't want to trivialize it to just Cody versus Disco because that's really, such a one conversation that could be so that's really a huge conversation, which is I'm sure argument that fans have had forever. I just wanted to kind of touch on it because it was very relevant, especially going into dun 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 WrestleMania. You like that segue?
I did. That was pretty solid.
Thank you, thank you. Eventually I'm gonna get like real music to do stuff like that. Dun dun dun. Um, but before we talk WrestleMania, I want to run through the card of Takeover because you guys know I'm NXT Mark. I do want to acknowledge that I'm not going to WrestleMania anymore. I have some medical issues. But Karl and I had a very, very big and public fight because Karl dissed me to go to Supercard of Honor instead of going to Takeover. And I'm still very upset about this. And his reason is very solid. I don't never want to give him credit, but I give him credit. His reasoning is I don't follow NXT. I can watch these guys whenever I want. I don't know when I'm gonna get a chance to see Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks or stuff like that. That's fine. I respect it. That's cool. So I'm not even gonna ask you to run down the matches with me. I'll ask for what you think's gonna who you think's gonna win. By
Yeah.
the end of it, I have a special question specifically for you and Supercard of Honor. So you
Okay.
game?
Yeah. 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 Sure.
Okay.
Try not to go too in depth on the matches if you don't want to, because I mean, I know
Yeah,
how
because you
I
don't
know
know,
how you know.
and you probably
Yeah.
don't care. Thank you, such a friend. Uh, I'm gonna start with I haven't watched NXT. We're recording this on Wednesday night, so I haven't watched NXT. But I'm an asshole, so I read spoilers. Um, let's start with the tag team title match,
hmm
which has been kind of coincided with the Dusty Classic match, Dusty Classic Finals. The Dusty Classic Finals ended up being the Authors of Pain versus the random but very, very fun team of Roderick Strong and United Kingdom champion Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
Um, and they went to I believe they went to some type of stalemate or issue, and I think the Undisputed Era tried to jump them because the winner of the Dusty Classic was supposed to fight Undisputed Era. Mind you, Bobby Fish has torn his ACL and MCL, so it is not Red Dragon. It is Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. So your NXT Tag Team Championship matches, Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole versus Pete Dunne and Roddy Strong versus the Authors of Pain, in which I hope to God is their goodbye because they need to be on the main roster now.
Sure.
I am going to uh, say that uh, probably Undisputed Era sneaks out of this.
Right.
Uh, Only because I know they got bigger things for Pete Dunne than being stuck in a tag team match, in tag team, uh, title, in a tag team title run when he's the
hmm
United States champion. But I would lean that way, and I'll explain why in the next match.
Okay.
So who do you
Yeah.
think?
I would agree. I don't think AOP. Like I said, I'm with you. I feel like it's probably their goodbye. There's been rumors of that for a while anyway with them.
They're
You
very
know.
ready. It's just is the
Yeah.
tag team division prepared?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So them, I don't see them winning
me neither.
because then they're not going anywhere. And the reasoning is the same. Pete Dunne is UK champ.
Yeah,
He ain't got time to be fucking being tag champ. It was a fun little thing, but it's not Cesaro and Sheamus where they're in WWE literally all the time. That's where they are, so we can have fun with them being a team and make it work. I don't think it's going to be the same in this regard because Pete goes elsewhere. He goes around.
yeah.
So I
He's kind of
think,
not a two-way deal. Yeah.
granted, you could work it with the tapings and stuff like that. And I get that, but I don't see that either. So I agree. I think Undisputed Era sneaks out. Yeah.
I think there's a bigger story to be told with Roddy and Pete Dunne personally.
Well, see, that was another thing. See, I haven't been watching, but I feel like that's another thing you can do there too, because Roddy had a good showing in the 205 Live
Yeah.
tournament, and so there could be reason there to maybe kind of put them together in some kind of feud down the road for that UK title.
Well, they already had a feud, which is why they're teaming.
Oh, see, I don't know. See,
Yeah.
there you go. Like my
Well,
ignorance is showing right there. I don't.
Roddy and Pete Dunne had a match for the UK title, and it was very, very competitive, and Pete Dunne won. And there was, Pete Dunne is a bit of an asshole, so there was like an unspoken respect. And Roddy's had issues with Undisputed Era since they got there.
Yeah,
Well, there was a match where Pete Dunne had a match with Adam Cole for the UK title, and the Undisputed Era gave him hell, and Pete Dunne put it to him more than anybody has so far. But when it came down for the match to Thomas be over, of course, Fish and O'Reilly snuck in and whatnot, and Roddy came to help him. So
right.
it became those guys teaming up out of necessity to fight the Undisputed Era. And then Tyler Bate hurt his knee, and Mustache Mountain had to be taken out of the Dusty Classic. And Roddy asked for Mr. Regal to be put in, and Pete Dunne was his tag partner. And they just seem to have this natural chemistry. So
Sure.
that's how that started. It's kind of a strange bedfellows. It's really very similar to Cesaro and Sheamus in that they weren't enemies, but they were definitely rivals, and
Right.
they just seemed to work together.
Yeah.
But yeah. So my reasoning for thinking that O'Reilly and Cole keep the titles here is because the next match I want to talk about is the very, very first inaugural match for the NXT North American Championship, which is a
Ugly
ladder
ass
match.
title. God, ugly ass
I'm not
title.
a fan of it either, but if you look at the way the UK title was created, it's very similar in style to that because the NXT North American title was meant to be the equivalency of the UK title. And then when they finally have a Latin American champion, and they finally have, I don't know if they're gonna have an Indian champion or a full age, whatever it is, but they want to kind of branch off and have
Yeah.
each segment of the world have their own, champion, Oceanic champion, maybe something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
you have who I think should win the match, the Velveteen Dream,
Right.
versus the one and only Ricochet making his debut, versus Lars Sullivan, the Freak, versus Killian Dane from Sanity, versus the also debuting EC3, who has fire music, by the way. Check it out on Spotify, versus Adam Cole. Now, the reason I'm picking O'Reilly and Fish here is because I don't think Adam Cole is going to wrestle both matches. And if he does wrestle both matches, ain't no way in hell he's winning them both. Right? So I'm going to make this prediction here. I think, because I think the tag team match opens the show.
Okay.
I'm going to say that Mr. Regal pulls Adam Cole from the match to re-debut the return of Drew McIntyre in the North American Championship ladder match.
Okay. I
But
mean, as good of a prediction as
yeah,
anything I could make.
nothing on TV has said that. Nothing on social has said that. Only thing that we know is Drew seems to be healthy.
Okay. Yeah.
And being as big a show as this is, it would be smart to show Drew, right? Unless he's getting called up Monday, which is another conversation.
Right.
But I think I think I would pick between EC3 and Velveteen Dream, but I would pick Dream to win this match because one, Dream is the one guy who doesn't have anything to do,
Right.
right? EC3 just debuted. He can find something. Lars Sullivan and Killian Dane are hosses. They'll find something to do. Adam Cole is feuding with everybody in the company. But a North American Championship ladder match with a North American Championship feud between Velveteen Dream, the young kid who got further than anybody expected him to get, versus Ricochet, who was probably the best wrestler not to be in WWE at a certain point. Indy versus corporate, if you will, and
Right.
Ricochet chasing and finally getting over, possibly at Brooklyn or something. I think that's a great feud.
Sure.
So I'm picking Dream. Who would you pick?
Okay. Um, to be honest with you, you made a good point because you said Velveteen is the one that doesn't have much to do, so that title works for him. Like EC3 can find something to do,
Hmm.
but in that vein, that's why I think I would pick EC3.
Okay.
I feel like as a championship holder, kind of how the Miz is,
Yeah,
he
it would
can
look great for
do
him.
more with it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, because when he came out and the fans were chanting "You deserve it" to him or whatever, and he
Sure.
was like, "Yeah, I do." Like that's I like champs like that. I'm not saying that's makes means that he should win. But I think he's able to do more in terms of like, look at me, I'm the champ. First night, like he
Yeah,
can use that to his advantage so well to build that character
absolutely,
that he's going to be
absolutely.
portraying. So that would be my prediction, going off of literally nothing other than that. I would like to see Velveteen win it. If I was going to pick one
Sure.
that I want to see, it'd be Dream. But I'll
Um,
pick three. I think.
EC3 is a great EC3 is a great choice, but I tend to think he's gonna feud. He's gonna kind of be that new gatekeeper, if you will, and kind of feud with maybe Drew coming back or something like that. Now, I say all this to say this. Everything I just said probably going to happen, and Adam Cole is probably going to win because he's Edge. Adam Cole is the new Edge in that he continues to put himself in situations in which you don't know how he gets in them, but he ends up always winning championships. He might
Right.
not win every match, but he wins championships. I just feel like that's going to
Sure.
happen. But so let's move into the NXT Women's Championship. Now, what's funny about this match is this match probably has more build up. Well, aside from the main match we're going to talk about,
Yeah. Yeah.
but more build up than any other match in the card, and yet it's probably take away the tag title match because it just got booked tonight. The probably the least anticipated, and I'm not saying least anticipated because nobody cares, just because that's how big of a card this is. But Ember
Yeah.
Moon and Shayna Baszler have been at each other's throats since Shayna walked into NXT, and I love Shayna. I love everything she does. She feels real. She feels authentic, and Ember and her Twilight, you know, LARPing gimmick or whatnot. We've all said that Ember, the only thing that holds Ember back is her gimmick. And because I don't know her personally, but I know her personally, if that makes any sense. I know that's who she is. But what Shayna is dragging out of Ember is only helping her because Ember is showing people that she may be vulnerable, but she is tough as shit and is gonna fight until she has nothing left. So these women are going to literally destroy the hell out of each other. But come on, man, Ronda Rousey's gonna be at WrestleMania. Shayna's winning. Come on, dog. Come on,
Yeah.
dog.
Once again, it's the swan song for Ember, right? What's left?
I don't think this is the swan song. I think they're gonna pull an Oscar with her like they did with Oscar last year, in that her swan song's gonna be after Brooklyn.
Okay.
Now she might get called up, but she's still going to keep her NXT, gonna finish her run until Brooklyn. So
Okay.
she might
Well,
still get called up, but yeah.
yeah, that's fair.
Because
Because I
NXT does
mean,
that a lot.
well, here's the thing though. Like, and I'll say this because I do think Shayna's going to win. Also,
Yeah.
I don't think they have this rematch otherwise because they've already had the match once, and I don't think they really have it again otherwise without Shayna winning. You know what I
Well, I
mean?
would disagree with that because if you want to make Ember look good, making her beat twice a legitimate MMA pioneer, because Shayna was fighting MMA before Ronda was.
Yeah.
So she's a legitimate women's MMA pioneer, and to have Ember beat her twice, once the first time genuinely flukish, but this time maybe she could put her down genuinely, that's
Yeah.
only gonna up her respect level. So there's more reasons than just having Shayna win. I just think
That's
Shayna's gonna
fair.
win.
I think Shayna will win too. I mean, and actually, what I was getting at was like I feel like at least one woman or one group of women is getting called up after Mania.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if it's not Ember, I would imagine it's the Iconic Duo who has not been around really. So
There's a reason for that. We not
yeah,
we know why, but we're not gonna touch on that.
but so that's kind of I just feel like it's a little bit of both here. Shayna's gonna have the title, hold it for a while, a la Asuka kind of thing, and then I mean, I'm not trying to get any further into it. I just feel like Ember's probably gonna get called up. Maybe not. I don't know,
Sure,
but
but you say Shayna.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So let's get to the NXT Championship, and I want to point out something that I don't think a lot of people realize. You realize that these two fought last year at NXT Takeover, WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, I remember.
That was Aleister Black's debut.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
So it's pretty cool to kind of tighten a bow.
no doubt.
Um,
Yeah,
I will say this, that there is no other match that I would have wanted to see for the NXT Championship personally, because you have a guy who has worked his way from being almost thought to be a bust to becoming one of the best acts in the company. And we've always known that La Sombra, better known as Andrade Cien Almas, was great in the ring, but it all finally clicked. And
Yeah.
Aleister Black, who is probably the most genuine, true prospect to be a global superstar that they have in the company right now.
Yeah.
Uh, like I don't want to say he's foolproof, but he's the closest, I think, prospect to reaching that Cena. Well, he might not be Cena, but that Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns level type deal. He's the closest they got. CM Punk. But both these guys are extremely great strikers. Both of these guys are extremely talented mat technicians. They're both adept at flying. This is going to be a great in-ring match. But now, with Aleister kind of disrespecting Selena and Andrade getting rid of Tranquilo. If you don't know the story about Andrade Cien Almas started Los Ingobernables in Mexico, which is
Yeah.
where Tetsuya Naito and Lij got their offshoot from. And it was based on, well, we wasn't really getting respect from the crowds. We don't care no more. Tranquilo. We just gonna chill and have fun. Take it
Mm-hmm.
easy. And, don't take anything seriously, just do whatever. Which is why he was doing all that bullshit when he started. He pissed now. That's gone.
Yeah.
He's out here to fight.
Yeah. I saw
So,
the Zelina thing the other day, or
yes,
I think I
she's a
saw it today.
godsend to Andrade. She is
Yeah.
so good with him. Makes you wonder if she shouldn't be Mrs. Aries, she should be Mrs. Almas. But anyway,
Well, I heard they broke up actually. Anyway, so that's
I
what I
would
heard.
not be I would not be surprised. And that's no diss to either one of them, but shit happens, it's wrestling.
Yeah.
But Aleister Black got to be crowned. He's only lost one match, and the one match he lost was a fatal 4-way because they
Yeah.
needed to give him and Cole a reason to have a match.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aleister's gonna knock the fuck out of him with the Black Mass kick, and it's gonna be lovely because with what Andrade has done to Johnny Gargano, the crowd wants him to lose so bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think Black's gonna win. Once again, I don't watch a lot of NXT, so I do like Aleister Black. I'm not like as in love with him as everyone else is. There's no disrespect. It's
full disrespect, but okay.
That's fine. Like his gimmick and character thing really isn't my cup of tea,
Yeah.
But I will say this: I absolutely love Andrade Almas.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, right now, and I don't give a shit. Anybody wants to come after me after this, I don't care. I think he's already a top 10 guy in the entire WWE umbrella.
I can't
in
give
my
him that.
opinion.
I can't.
And that's
give him
fine. You don't have to. I think just what I see when he is at his best, he, to me, not in the beginning when he was doing all that shit, but right now, in my opinion, that's where he's at, and that's okay. I know that's like a kind of a hot, sizzling take, if you will.
I wouldn't say that. The only reason I disagree with you is because I'm not counting acts. I'm counting individuals.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have Zelina, it wouldn't work.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's
so
fair.
if you were to put him with, if you were to say him and Zelina as an act, they weren't the
Right.
top 10 acts in the company, sure. But Jimmy Uso isn't the top 10 wrestler in the company, but him and his brother are a top 10 act.
Sure.
The difference?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's
what I think is, once again, I think you got to crown Black here.
Yeah.
It's what everybody wants anyway. And like you said, they don't have to do it. NXT that's kind of almost is a little bit of an exception.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of the way they've done it, This one guy comes in and he kicks everyone's ass for an extended amount of time and doesn't lose really, Then he wins the championship and then it's on to the next whoever.
It's a formula.
So that is the formula. We've discussed this before on podcasts before, I'm pretty sure. So that's the formula. Here we are. You know what I want to see happen? You want to know what I want to see happen? And unfortunately, they can't do it right now because this person is busy doing something else. But if Almas drops the title, the first thing I want to see is him going straight to Raw to feud against The Miz. That's the first thing I want to see. Because Andrade for
heel
the
versus
IC
heel,
title.
huh? Heel versus
immediately.
heel, huh?
Well, this is why I say it can't work. There's no Maurice because we need a Zelina.
Got
That's
you.
what that's what I want. Like a meet like
The heater.
Zelina and Andrade, like that power couple of NXT almost. You know, even
Yeah.
though she's his manager. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the first thing I want. Like I'm hoping that if he does drop it, he's coming up once again. And I'm hoping this for a lot of guys. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I
Yeah.
feel like he would be on the short list of guys that might be making a move, especially with how well he did at the Royal Rumble
Absolutely.
after having just gone through hell with Johnny the night before.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, Black wins. Long story short, Black wins, new champ, yada yada. I don't know who's going to be the next guy to take it from him. Probably Ricochet. I don't know. Pick somebody.
No, I feel like Ricochet's built to kind of win the title in like a Brooklyn setting, or Ricochet is definitely gonna feud with some other people before he moves up to that level, I believe. But the beauty of Aleister Black winning is this. This is the beauty that forget everything else we talked about it all matters. But the beauty of it is that him winning means that the crowd ain't gonna be pissed when Johnny Gargano loses.
You're right.
Right?
I'm fully expecting Gargano to lose this match.
Me too. Yes, the unsanctioned match is last, and I would venture to believe they might put this on last because this is the biggest match of the night.
Yeah.
Even though NXT traditionally nothing's bigger than the NXT title, right?
Sure.
It's cool, but
This transcends it though.
Yes, Gargano and Ciampa have had one of the best feuds in probably the past 20 years. So, yeah, everything about their feud has been wonderful. The subtleties of their feud, going back to when they first debuted together and they were singles guys who just teamed up just to get a foot in the door. Going back to the Cruiserweight Classic, when Gargano snuck out a win because he was being dominated by Ciampa, and Ciampa stared at him, was about to beat the shit out of him, but just hugged him. To the picture when Kevin Owens threw Chris Jericho into the TV, and Johnny took his TV away from Tommaso Ciampa because he knew that it was in Tommaso to do that. Like, the subtleties of this entire feud have been beautifully done, and the most important thing I could tell you about anything with Tommaso Ciampa at this point is, excuse me, don't turn the TV off when you see the credits, because you never know what's going to happen with Tommaso Ciampa.
That's true.
3 times credits are on and he pop out with a crutch. But have you noticed how jacked Tommaso has gotten?
Dude, he's huge. Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Shredded. He's shredded. So yeah, I mean, this one we can actually, I can give some thoughts on.
Yes.
So you know how I am, and I catch a lot of heat on Twitter because not heat, but like fun heat, because
Sure.
I'm Team Ciampa
So
all the
am
way.
I, by the way. So am I, by the way, for the record.
I mean, but see, I actually get on there and let it be known a lot. Like,
Yeah.
everything he tweets out, I'll quote tweet it with like Team Ciampa. Okay, that's where I'm at.
Bold.
I even started doing the whole, instead of him actually adding someone, he would put a little AT in their name. I started doing that too.
Yes.
So to me, he has to win. That sounds crazy, right? He has to win, but I really feel like he has to, because once again, Gargano's another case. Is he staying or is he going? Is he going to be there after WrestleMania, or is he going to move up? I don't know. You've already got him in a fired situation as it is. The only thing he has to gain, if he beats Ciampa, which to me is is really all he needs out of NXT anymore, unless you think he just has to be NXT champ.
No.
Because he has that Daniel Bryan vibe that, he could be that type of guy, that people are just going to rally behind him because he's the underdog, he's the little guy, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I like him. He's great. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, man, the story was, it's been great. That's actually one of the few NXT storylines that I've followed, not as close as you have, or, whatever, but
Sure.
I keep up with it. I've been waiting for my Blackheart shirt that Tommaso says is never coming because he's an asshole. And then I'm like, I got to respect that too. You know what I mean? So
we did boo him.
Yeah, we did. Well, I didn't. You fuckers did.
I
So
don't
thanks.
say you. Yeah, the listening public. Karl said that, not Rance.
But yeah, man, I think you're right about that. I think if Black wins, which I think he's going to, it should keep everybody okay when
Yeah.
Johnny doesn't.
Plus,
I don't,
I think the man. Look, I give fans a lot of shit, but because I live by the philosophy that people in groups are stupid, people individually are smart. So it's never a diss to people personally. It's a diss to a hive mentality. But the crowd is a lot smarter than we give them credit for. So even though they're behind Johnny, they understand that there are bigger and better things for Johnny coming up, and they understand that probably if you look at it, Ciampa's not going to beat him cleanly. It's going to be the big. It's going to be such a spectacle of
What's unsanctioned?
yes. So everything's gonna. If he pins him with the forklift like Mankind did at Halftime Heat, I wouldn't be shocked. But Johnny's gonna still come out of this looking good some kind of way, get his final farewell, and then he'll be Mr. 205 Live.
Man, you gonna be triggering some people will say that.
Well, yeah, I already had the good conversation with the Social Suplex guys about that, which I kind of got beat up for. But
I'm not touching it.
if
I'm not
you
touching
watch
that.
the show, if you've seen the reboot, and you believe in Triple H like you believe, let me flip it for you like this. We look at how we look at NXT, right?
Yeah.
When NXT was rebranded as NXT, when FCW ceased to be a company, and they rebranded it to NXT and worked out of Full Sail,
Yeah.
it was 2 years before they got a takeover, right?
Yeah.
So as 2012 to 2018, it's 6 years. 6 years to become this global phenomenon we know them as, right?
Sure.
205 Live has had a little over a year. Give them time. They'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still probably not gonna watch that much, but that's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
Well, yeah, but it's because you're a dick. So that's, King Jerkface as we call you.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
So I really don't want to go too long, make this too long, but if you will, kind of give me like a 2-minute assessment. Because of the competition the Ring of Honor has so willingly put themselves against putting Supercard of Honor directly running against uh, Takeover because Supercard of Honor used to be on a Friday.
Yeah.
They moved it to Saturday. What match do you think is the more must-see match? Cody versus Kenny Omega or Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano?
Mm.
Mind you, you know your team Ciampa, but you're going to see Kenny Omega and Cody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm definitely gonna go back and watch. So that's neither here nor there. That's
For
the
the
other
record,
thing.
Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano was not booked when you bought your tickets. So there's a chance you might have changed your mind. You probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have, but still,
Well,
let that be known.
I think in a lot of ways we kind of knew it was coming.
It was not guaranteed, bro. It was not.
But yeah,
guaranteed.
because with Ciampa being still kind of hurt, it was kind of
Mhm.
whatever. And the other thing is, like, if you think about it, like they wait, and this has happened not only, and we'll talk about it later when we talk about Mania, but some of the builds have been really interesting and different. And I think to matches,
Yeah.
like the last second kind of thing. And I
Absolutely.
actually don't have an issue with it, and we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
We'll get into it later, but I think the more must-see match is Tommaso and Gargano.
Okay.
I don't know that it's going to be the better match overall in quality.
Okay.
That's going to be if you say that Kenny Omega is one of the top 3 wrestlers in the world, it's hard, and we know Cody can go too, even though everyone likes to call him the 3.5-star guy or whatever.
He's a step below Kenny, but he's still a great worker.
If you say that, like in terms of match quality, plus with the other one being unsanctioned, I don't know what they're going to do. And so if it gets out of hand and they're out in the street or they're out in the marina, that's not really my thing so
Them
much.
fighting
But
down Bourbon Street, I would die.
I know I would too. I would pop. But like I'll say this, I think the more must see because of story is Gargano and Ciampa. And don't get me wrong, because I've enjoyed the Cody and Kenny thing as well. Some of the promos, especially Cody, Jesus Christ, laying into Kenny the last
Cody's
time.
a gifted talker. He's become a very gifted talker. I
Yeah,
want to say this real
yeah.
quick before you move on, just to give some context. The reason I would pick Ciampa and Gargano over Kenny and Cody too, personally, and it's not New Japan versus WWE. It's simply the fact that the majority of the Kenny versus Cody build has, if you don't watch Being the Elite, the YouTube series, you wouldn't have seen it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true.
Which is the issue I have. It's great context, but it's not canon on television,
Yeah,
where everything Ciampa Gargano has been on TV.
for sure. Yeah,
So
that's fine. That's a fair assessment. I think the thing I have enjoyed about the Kenny and Cody thing is mostly on the Cody side, because Kenny is Kenny. You know, like Kenny is, to me, is like the guy you go smoke pot with. Like that's
he's
what.
RVD.
Yeah, like I
Okay.
mean, but I don't mean that to be disrespectful. But he's kind of chill, and he's kind of like, to me, except for when he gets in the ring.
Yeah.
You know, when he's not in the ring, Kenny's, he knows he's the man. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't like. Cody is like so, and the thing I love about Cody's character is he's so hell bent on being the man.
Yeah.
You know, he's dyed his hair blonde, he's wearing his fur coats, he's smoking his cigars,
The
kiss
ring.
his ring,
Yeah.
like all that shit, changing up the Bullet Club logo.
He's Lex Luthor.
You know, yeah,
Lex Luthor.
I mean, obviously, if you're paying attention, you know he's like literally destroying it from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that is an interesting. I think it makes a cool dynamic. You know,
Absolutely.
so they've done a really good job considering. I would venture to guess that more people have eyes on NXT than they do Ring of Honor. I don't know for sure. I mean,
That's
it's
tough
got to be.
because this isn't just Ring of Honor fans. This is New Japan Ring of Honor
That's
and
true.
WWE haters.
That's true. That's true.
So that's a lot of people.
But I think both are going to be really good in their own right. I do think because of how long this has gone on with Gargano and Tommaso, I think it's the more must see in terms of. But I will say this: I think the Kenny and Cody match is less predictable in terms of who will win.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
Okay, Rance. All right.
No, it's not. I'd bet a very large sum of money Kenny Omega wins this match. Very large sum. Yeah.
I hope not. Of course, I'm always rooting for the bad guy, so you know how that is.
That's why. That's what initially probably made us friends. Yes.
Yeah,
We're the same
I'm
way.
I'm Team Cody, just so everybody knows. When Omega wins, I'm booing.
Well, that's good for you. I'm Team Tongans. I'm Team Bullet Club OGs. Shout out to Sam Tongan. So we've talked. We've it's been very good conversation so far, but we've got to get down to the nitty gritty. Obviously, we're not going to spend 4 hours going through this card, but we can probably kind of, well, hell, it's WrestleMania. We don't really have to break down the card for you guys, like
Yeah.
the card. But I do want to get some conversation in and kind of get the our predictions on wax, if you will, since I'm old school today. I am going to We're gonna start with the pre-show, of course. I'm gonna run the battle royals together because they're both fillers, even though it's a big deal for the women to finally get one, but both filler matches. So, what are your thoughts on the battle royals?
Don't care.
Okay, well,
I mean, I can give you a winner if you want, who I think might win, but that's about as far as I'm going to go with it. It's not that I don't care as much as it's just like I was excited for the women, and then all the shit happened with Moolah, and like
kind of killed it for you, huh?
it soured it, and that's it's a little bit of both, I understand people being upset, I do, and at the same time, like I'm just kind of like I feel like WWE, there's like for them it's like one step forward, one step back, not one step forward, two steps back, but they just kind of like to go in line with each other, like, oh, Finn Balor Club for everyone, that's awesome, and it's on a T-shirt. Oh, hey, by the way, the Battle Royal, it's about Moolah, who's like an alleged pimp. You know what I mean? Like
Alleged.
right? But
Yeah, no, definitely. There is definitely a lack of self-awareness a lot of times that WWE has, but you also have to remember the level of we don't respect how big of a company they are.
yeah,
So while a lot of these things are not okay, we're not talking about a company that we're not talking. This isn't a this. We're talking about a company the size of essentially in entertainment the size of Walmart.
yeah,
Like they're not just some random mom and pop. They're a huge company that has hundreds, if not thousands, of corporate employees.
yeah,
So I'm not sticking up for them because it's unexcusable. But
yeah. It really is. Yeah,
but that
and that's
I don't think that they have dissecting opinions. Like I really do think you can be for women and make a mistake in saying something. You know, I don't think
Yeah.
that because they named it after Moolah that they're anti-women.
Well, I think actually, and this is kind of I know we didn't want to talk about this very long, but we don't have to talk about the men's at all, really, if you don't want to. But like,
No,
because it
yeah,
is what it is
there's
on the
nothing to
men's.
say about it. I got a prediction. That's it. Yeah.
So on the women's, just a couple things, two things here. One, I was having a conversation the other day. People were saying, well, they made such a big deal about this women's battle royal, and then they put it on the pre-show, and I was like, okay, well, think of it like this: like, there's a chance that maybe they just kind of want to make it a bit of an afterthought now because
Good point.
of the fact that they were hyping it up as this big deal, and then with the name, and then everybody losing their mind over it, rightfully so, that's fine. And then they're changing it. Maybe it's like, hey, let's put it to the pre-show and
Man,
kind of,
and then the
maybe people
trophy,
will forget about our mistake,
then the trophy looks
And
like a uterus, dog. So
yeah,
yes,
it does. It's bad.
yes,
It's bad.
it's
And
it's
one
a
more thing
common
I wanted to
embarrassment.
say on Talk is Jericho. I don't know if you heard about this or not. I read this earlier today. On the latest Talk is Jericho, Chris Jericho claims he texted Vince McMahon and told him he should have named it after Sensational Sherry. He should have named it the Sensational Invitational. That was what
Cute.
Jericho claimed. And he said that Vince's response was THX. Thanks. And that's it. And to be honest with you, I could see that entire thing happening.
This is,
All of it.
you know how we
Jericho's
have,
idea, Vince's response.
like WWE Ride Along and all these shows. I
Yeah,
want a 30-minute show going through Vince's text messages
I would love it.
because that's got to be hilarious.
It's total old people text speak.
It
THX.
it reminds me of the time CM Punk was talking about the first time Undertaker texted him back LOL. He was like,
Oh
"You're the
yeah,
Undertaker. You can't tell me LOL."
yeah.
But one thing to add to the women's battle royal, because I really don't give a shit about DeAndre. Um, I think it's a really clever way to give Sasha and Bailey a match without giving them a match, because they're definitely going to have 5 minutes, just them,
Yeah,
somewhere in the match. And I think it's really clever because there's so much going on the show this year that
yeah,
if you would have gave them a match, it wouldn't have been worth it, right? And I'm sure some fans would be like, "Oh well, I want my..." No, they deserve the marquee. They deserve a very good spot. So to give them this situation, to give them an opportunity, one of them will probably be the first to win this thing, and to give them some spotlight, I think it's really good for them.
Well, are they going back to Brooklyn for SummerSlam this year?
Brooklyn or LA, one of the two. I can't
If
remember.
they're going to Brooklyn, you just have that match in Brooklyn and just like a rehash of what they did in NXT. I mean,
Maybe, yeah. It would
and
make
that's
sense.
just. So, anyways, let's just pick our two winners here. You go ahead. Who you got?
I'm picking Bailey to win the women's because the story with their rivalry is, even though Sasha's more, I won't say, well, she's more talented than me, but she's more successful. She can't be Bailey.
Yeah. Okay.
So to have that, for Bailey to have, if you want to push it, to push the blow off to Brooklyn, for her to have that, for say I beat you not only for the title here, but look at my uterus trophy.
Yeah.
Um, and for the men, I have Dolph because Dolph is clearly going to get a major push going into 35 for a singles match since it's something he's openly campaigned for. But I think this will be kind of their make good, just to prove to you we got you.
Yeah.
We're going to give you the trophy. So those are
Okay.
my
So
predictions.
that's fair. And the women's, I'm gonna take Becky Lynch. And I know
Okay,
nothing called. This is a random thing, and this whole battle royal is random. But like,
sure.
I feel like she's a little bit in need of a WrestleMania. She hasn't had any really like big moment. I mean, like victory wise, you know what I mean? She had the triple threat a couple years ago. I think it was 2 years
Well,
ago.
this is only her third WrestleMania, so yes, she
Right,
hadn't
I
had a lot of
know.
time to
But
do something. She's
of
been
the
in two
four
women's
horsewomen,
champions.
I
She's been in two
understand
women's
that. But
championship
of
matches.
the four horsewomen, Becky is like the one that always flies under the radar. It seems. So I feel like this is a way to be like, okay, here, enjoy the uterus trophy, as you like to put it earlier. Um,
Oh,
and
I'm
we
just
and we
glad
know
you
these
didn't pick
things
Ruby.
don't.
I'm just
We
glad
know
you
these
didn't
things
pick
don't
Ruby.
really mean anything other than being the first one to win.
Yeah,
So, and
I'm
as
just
far
glad you didn't
as
pick Ruby. That's all.
no, I thought about it just to be like, she's gonna win a rumble, one of these battle royals
One
eventually.
of them, yeah.
Uh, for the men, I really don't know what the hell but I'm just going to take a shot in the dark and say Matt Hardy. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. Like, I would like to see Elias win it. I don't even know if he's in it or not.
He's not going to be in it, no.
Okay, so there you go. So if it's not going to be him, I'd take either him. I'd take Matt Hardy, or they maybe decide to throw something crazy like a double winner and give it to Mojo or something like that. I don't care.
Elias has the best spot in the card, and people are going to kill me for this. But I understand that the dream is wrestling at a WrestleMania. I get that.
Yeah.
But a segment at WrestleMania that people will never forget is oftentimes bigger than just a random match. And Elias is going to sit in the middle of the WrestleMania ring with 70,000+ people
Yep.
and sing his song and probably have some type of segment with Jeff Jarrett or Stone Cold or somebody, which is going to be much bigger than him being the random tag partner for Braun or being an Andre. So
The other thing about that is 70,000 people are going to be saying walk with Elias.
Huge.
I mean,
yes,
people are going to understand where he's at right now.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's your. We'll talk more. We can talk more about Elias if you want to, but I'm with you.
That's it. I just wanted to point that out because it's the same way I felt about Bray Wyatt at 32. Now I
Yeah.
realized that looked worse because everybody was hurt, but you know, people don't give credit to Bray's arc because whatever. But in 4 WrestleManias, Bray has fought John Cena, The Undertaker, had a face-off and a fight with The Rock, and then walked in as WWE champion against Randy Orton. I don't know if anybody's ever had a better 4 first years.
Pretty good.
And yes, he lost all of the matches, but I don't believe wins and losses matter, so it doesn't bother me. But
he should come back as a Chicago Cub.
Shut up,
lovable
dog.
loser.
And then so basically Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
So before we finish the pre-show, the main event of the pre-show, which yes, I know you've been fighting the fight. It is not that big a deal for this to be on the pre-show. Chill out. They have done nothing. Can I give you an analogy as to why it should be on the pre-show?
Go ahead. I'm going to agree with it, I'm sure.
Sure. And I'm sure only black people will understand this. But, okay.
I still agree.
Yes. On the BET Awards every year, the gospel people only get one song. Their award barely gets on TV, and they get one song, and normally it's like 3 leaders with a big old choir, or something like that. Yeah. The reason that is because even though gospel is a part of BET, it's only on Sundays. So you can't disproportionately give them more than you give the rest of the stuff. So right. Yes, the Cruiserweights deserve a spot on WrestleMania. Absolutely. They have worked hard to, in the eyes of a lot of fans, rebuild the division, even though it's fine in my eyes. They've done a lot to do that. And they have earned this platform, and they've earned the right to have a marquee match with good time in front of these fans. But they didn't earn on the main show. I'm sorry. They just haven't. Maybe next year. Maybe. But right now, probably not. But this is perfect for them because last year Neville and Austin Aries had more time than anybody except for I think the main event.
Here's my point. Two points. Two big things.
Yes, sir.
The first thing, and you might not like this so much, I don't know. You paid more attention to the damn 205 Live stuff than I do.
I've been watching this since before the reboot, yes.
So, the match is Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander, yes. Which, by the way, was my predicted finals from the get-go.
Everybody.
A lot of people think it's going to be Cedric. I was one of the few that predicted Mustafa to win the whole thing.
Okay.
So, I'm going to stick with that prediction. I'll just go ahead and throw that out now. I think Mustafa Ali is going to win.
Same here, for the record.
That's fine. Here's the thing. This is going to sound really bad. But one thing about WrestleMania is a lot of the stories are it's good versus evil, man. That's what WrestleMania is like for the most part. You get every now and then. Yeah, and man, I know a lot of people care, but I just don't give a shit. This is a tournament. It literally, if you think about it from think about the NCAA basketball tournament, right? What makes usually the tournament itself is great. Yeah. The last game always sucks.
Absolutely, because nobody cares.
And it's not like you have to come up with reasons to fit this together. Now, of course, Mustafa and Cedric have kind of been there, from the start or whatever,
Yeah.
but that hasn't really just like there's no like huge driving story here other than these two guys are great and they've been working hard and one of them's gonna win, and I
Yeah.
just don't care about that,
Yeah.
you know.
There's more to it than that, but yeah, sure, I get your point. They were
And
friends. They teamed together, and their match that they had before the reboot is what basically caused the reboot because it was so
right.
good. So yes.
And so my other point is just basically this, and that's no disrespect to those guys. I think the match is going to be awesome, by the way.
Sure.
But my other point is this, and I've been angry about not angry, but just kind of getting like irritated. If I see another fucking petition to get a wrestling match on the main card of a show,
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose my mind. Like,
Yeah.
you want to do that for the women's battle royal? I get it. That's fair. That's a company having a lack of self awareness, and you think, okay, this is bad. A wrestling match, a cruiserweight wrestling match, no less. And I'm not trying to diss on the cruiserweights, but in
No, you
comparison
speak your truth. Yeah.
to all the other matches on that card, we're gonna start signing petitions now. And I had someone say, well, wrestling's about having a voice.
I saw that.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the arena, like. You can have it outside of the arena for things like the Moolah Battle Royal, but the Daniel Bryan thing doesn't work like it did back the Yes Movement doesn't work outside the arena. It works inside the arena, man. All those things happened inside the arena.
Yep.
So let's like, I just don't want it to become one of these things where like all of a sudden it's petitions everywhere. You
Here's how
bump
you
someone off, and now I'm starting a petition because you bumped off Nia and Alexa and moved them to the pre-show. Now I'm starting a petition.
here's how you fix that. Stop leaving the arena when 205 comes on.
That's
Start
fair.
watching the show live when it's on at 9:30.
Yeah,
Then you won't have this problem. That's how you fix it.
and that's fine. Those are my 2 points about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
I'm already
petitions
over.
and
I'm already over the pre-show. I think the match is going to be great. I think the fact that it's not on the main card is making people actually overlook the damn match in a lot of ways.
Well,
And
people
so,
gonna complain about we wrestling fans are by nature complainers, so sure.
and this happened last year with the women's match.
The women's world title, the SmackDown women's match was on the pre-show,
Yeah,
and they moved Dean and Corbin to the pre-show. And I'm gonna be honest, that was the right move, not just because for many reasons. One, Ambrose versus Corbin was gonna be a dud anyway,
yeah,
but I'm a Naomi fan, so I realize I'm biased. But that moment for Naomi and for the women having two women's title matches on the main card and Naomi's entrance in her hometown in
yeah,
the
sure.
dark with that set, yeah, that's one of the most visually pleasing things we've ever seen in WWE was
Well, let's
Naomi
also
coming
keep in
out.
mind that match, because it got moved to the main show. I guarantee you got cut for time because of
Oh
that.
yeah, it was like 7 minutes, if
The
not less than
match,
that.
the match sucked.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but the match was
you're
not good.
absolutely right. Yes, it
And if they
absolutely
had,
was.
and if they had stayed on the pre-show, and I'm not trying to advocate for it staying on the
It
pre-show,
had
but if
more
it had
time.
stayed on the pre-show, would have got more time.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's fine. If y'all want, and me and a buddy, another dude, were discussing this. Go ahead and put it on the main card. It's gonna get 5 minutes. Keep
And
it on the pre-show and let it get 20 and be happy, because we're all gonna see it. Nobody's gonna miss it.
yeah, and while we're out here spitting fuego takes, let me say this. Cedric Alexander, you're a great wrestler. Cedric Alexander, you're a great dude. But Cedric Alexander, you're a boring human. And I think had this been Mustafa versus Drew Gulak, or some contrasting style of clashes, not just in ring but personality wise, and
Yeah.
wasn't Carbon Copy versus Carbon Copy, the heart versus the soul, which is a really clever tagline, but that's the same shit. Um, you know, had you had Gulak and whatnot versus Ali, or even Gulak versus Alexander, whatever it was, I think there'd be more interest because not only would the match still be great, but you could there'd be somebody for you to get behind.
Yeah,
But
I'm
we
with you.
we've talked way too long about the pre-show.
You know how it is. You know how we are.
Yeah, we're quite verbose.
There's only like 2 matches left, right, on the Mania card.
2 + 1,
Yeah,
two if
something
you
like
add a
that.
one in front of it.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay. Son
I'm
of a
going to do this a
bitch.
little different. I want to talk about. I like giving respect to the championships.
Okay.
So let's talk about the two tag matches first that are non-title matches.
Okay.
So let's talk about Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Let's.
Um, I've
Don't go
accepted.
on a rant. Don't go on a rant.
I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, go
I'm
ahead.
not gonna do it. I lied. I'm gonna do it. No, I'm playing. I have accepted the inevitable that Daniel's going to wrestle. I've accepted the inevitable that fans are behind it, and I'm just completely in the dark about this. That's fine. I'm okay. I never want anybody to take my stance. Never. I hope and pray very strongly that he's given the grace to be healthy and not get injured. I'll leave it at that. So my job here is to be an analyst. So let's do this. Shane McMahon is an idiot because if he really genuinely had diverticulitis, then he's a dumb fucking idiot. And I really believe that he did because every report, the Observer, everything is saying that while the hernia might have been storyline, diverticulitis wasn't. Anyway, whatever. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are not getting fired from the company.
Nope.
Um, so I'm going to give you my prediction.
Hmm.
Okay. Now I know everybody's predicting Shane to turn on Daniel Bryan, and I am as well because Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are going to win this match. But my reason for Shane turning on Daniel Bryan is probably different than what y'all think. I'm not predicting Shane to turn on Daniel Bryan to have a feud. I'm predicting Shane to turn on Daniel Bryan because Daniel Bryan 2 weeks ago proved that Shane was right since Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Right? So Shane had been telling him, "You're letting them use you. You're living vicariously through them. You're not. They're not getting punished for what they should have been punished for. Everything." And I feel like Daniel's back and forth with Shane, of course, all kayfabe, that's what caused Shane to be more angry than what Kevin and Sammy were doing. Because every time he tried to get some retribution to justice, uh, Daniel would undercut him. Same with AJ, if you will. And Daniel basically admitted I was wrong and whatnot. So my thought process is, what Shane's gonna do is Shane gonna trade him at the Superstar Shakeup anyway in a couple weeks, right?
Sure.
And but he's gonna get retribution because if Daniel didn't stick up for him the way he did, Shane would have never gotten hurt,
Yeah, that's fair.
right? Because it would have been gone already. So
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
that's why I think it would. And remember, Shane can just fire Daniel and just make him a in-ring competitor, because that's what Daniel wants anyway. Daniel's gonna quit anyway as a general manager. So
Correct. Yeah.
and then I think I love chaos and anarchy when it comes to wrestling. So it's going to bring me so much joy to see Daniel Bryan triumphantly return to WrestleMania in wrestling, his first match back, and he gets the crowd into it. It is yeses everywhere, and he gets pinned. I will be in I will be in euphoria to see that happen. Like I want to be there for that match just to see Daniel Bryan lose. The
I'm already
crowd.
worried about the future of the show. God, I hope it doesn't open.
Well, this is
Uh,
yeah. That's my prediction. Yeah.
um, I think, I'm kind of along the same lines there. I think Shane will be the one to turn. Obviously, Kevin and Sammy aren't going anywhere. We know that. Although, a small little part of me, no, it's a big part, wants me to see Daniel Bryan do the turn.
Oh,
Only
turn heel?
because,
My
yeah,
God.
only
I don't. They're not that
because.
bold. They're not that bold.
No, they're not that bold. They're not. But oh my God, dude. They want to, I'll tell you what, if all they had to do, if their only criteria as a company was to make me happy,
Yeah,
that's what they would do. I,
absolutely.
I, I mean, I would love to see that. But good Lord, that would not go over well. Just like him getting pinned might not go over well, but it might in the sense that, well, it took Shane turning on him and all this other shit. And
Oh
Daniel's
yeah.
back to being the underdog, that whole
And
thing.
and then this is a very weird. I talked about this about Jordan on the morning show I do with him now this morning, in that the crowd is very smart in that Kevin and Sammy. It took Kevin and Sammy to attack and to injure Daniel Bryan on the night he returned back to active competition after 3 years to get over as heels, to get booed. It took all that for them to get booed. So
Yeah.
the crowd is all in on Shane and Daniel getting retribution, but every time they mention firing them, the crowd's like, because they don't want them to go. So the crowd is going to, I think the crowd is going to be at least more understanding because Daniel's still going to be around. He's, God willing, he's still going to wrestle, but at least you don't, quote unquote, lose Sammy and Kevin.
Plus, it opens the door immediately. Say Daniel gets pinned, Shane just fires him, or he quits his GM, and Daniel's just back to entering competition. It automatically opens the door for his first two matches, Sammy, Kevin.
Yeah.
I mean, automatically, and people are going to want to see those, So let's.
People want to see Daniel versus James Ellsworth. It doesn't matter. They just want to see him wrestle. So
that's true, but you know what you're really going to get out of something like with Daniel and those two guys. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, absolutely.
But I'm kind of with you there. Predictions, we're not really veering off too much here, but yeah.
Well, me and you are very similar in a lot of our thought processes, but
might change towards the end though. But go ahead.
We're definitely going to change in some of these matches, I know. So again, since I wanted to do the non-title matches, let's move on to the Authority versus the Olympians, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, who's, for the record, this is probably the most interesting stat I've heard in a long time. This is Stephanie's first match at WrestleMania.
Really? I didn't know that. I haven't.
Stephanie McMahon, who has been in the company her whole life, has never wrestled a match at WrestleMania. It's
crazy because all I hear is that her ego is just so big.
Yeah, she just buries everybody, but she's never, just like Triple H has buried everybody, but Triple H has lost the most matches in WrestleMania history. But facts don't mean nothing. But anyway, versus Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey. I think they've done just about as good a build as they could when you consider that even though Ronda has been at every Raw except for one, at least visibly, three of these people don't really come to work every week. So it's been they've done as good a build as they could have, and I like the kind of finale build with the MMA style press conference and the picture taking, which turned into, of course, a brawl. And Stephanie, which didn't look as good live, but when you watched the replay and saw how high she got Ronda up, it looked better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited about this, and I think this could tell a really good story because everybody wants to see Stephanie get her ass beat. Everybody does.
Yeah.
And Ronda has one job, and that's to rip her arm out. So
yeah,
I just hope Kurt and his scoliosis body is able to last well enough. And I love Kurt. This is no diss to him, but Kurt is physically wrecked. Just look at him.
Okay. I just want to say this real quick. My buddy, a lot of people on this podcast don't know my buddy Dustin, but he's who I'm going with to New Orleans tomorrow. We're going down there together. Been friends with him for a real long time. He has a disability. He's got spina bifida. And he walks with a brace on his leg, and his body is shaped weird because of it, because of how he walks and stuff. And he has back issues. And so me and him were talking the other day, and he said this multiple times, that he says, and I quote, Kurt Angle looks like me. He looks like the letter S. Like the way he stands, it's so messed up. But anyways, off sides of that, yeah, man, this is Stephanie's got to get hurt at WrestleMania so she can be off TV for a while. That's the rule. What was it last year? She went through the table.
Mm-hmm.
The year before that, she got speared.
Yeah.
So it's time for her to go away for a little while. She'll take 4 months off or so until SummerSlam. And then I don't know what the plan will be with Rousey, but Rousey ain't losing her first match. So if she does, that would be the biggest shock of the night to me, is if Rousey and Kurt were to lose. There's no way. The build's been pretty good. A lot of people aren't digging Ronda so far, and that's mostly
the crowd.
I know the crowd
is definitely digging.
That's mostly the who's.
Yeah.
That's okay, And I'll say this, it's not easy always to transition from UFC, where you don't have to be a character. I mean, there are characters, but you don't have to be a character, and come to WWE, and that's like 50% of your job. Okay,
yeah, probably more.
Like that, yeah. So she's still learning. She's not it's not like Brock Lesnar, who went from wrestling first and then to UFC.
Absolutely.
And by the way, still can't talk. So let's keep that in mind.
He can talk in a sit-down environment where he can cuss a storm up. Yes,
Right. That's what I'm saying though.
but
On a
not on
WWE
live television. No.
ring,
Yeah.
he cannot.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's all cool the jets. Let Ronda be what she is. I think that they don't need to press too much on the mic work because she doesn't need it. Like I'm not saying she doesn't ever have to, but she doesn't need it in the way that some other guys do. Like she's not like The Miz has to be good on the mic because in the ring he's usually outclassed by everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very good point.
Ronda is different. She can beat you in the ring. She doesn't have to. Now, not everybody's Kurt Angle, who was great in the ring, great on the mic. Like, not everybody is that good immediately coming out. So, pump the brakes on Ronda if you have issues. Give her a chance if you don't like her. I think you're going to be surprised over time. Ronda and Kurt win. That's my prediction.
Armbar.
Yeah, armbar.
So I'm going to cede this portion of the show to you because I refuse to talk about it. I'm only saying it because I'm contractually obligated to. I don't know if The Undertaker and John Cena are going to have a match or a segment or what, but I'm not interested in it whatsoever. So, Taker is your favorite wrestler of all time besides Razor Ramon. Please.
I don't have any interest in seeing Undertaker wrestle again. I'm going to adamantly disagree with people who have been saying that all this is this giant waste of time. First of all, the name Undertaker gets reaction. So whether they spend 10 minutes on John Cena calling him a coward and all these other things in the ring or not, and that bothers you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that bothers you and you'd rather see 5 more minutes of Grand Metalik and Akira Tozawa versus whatever. I'm sorry.
Pull the shovel out, Karl. Pull the shovel out.
I'm sorry, but no offense to these guys, but they're not John Cena and they're not The Undertaker. No matter what you think about either one of those guys, they're not them. Okay? And not to mention, if you dislike it so much, why are you still talking about it? Like, it bugs you so much. The reality is, I think what they've done, whether they have a match or not, I think what they've done has generated a lot of positive buzz.
No,
okay.
Buzz, yes, not positive.
Well, I mean, what I mean by that though is like we're all still kind of wondering. There's a lot of
positive.
Well, the reaction that the Undertaker has gotten anytime John Cena mentions him has been in the crowd.
But
we want the match, yes.
Yeah, but that's the problem. The problem is you're trying to imply. They definitely have not sold the match. There has never been once a selling, but they're trying to imply that there will be some confrontation or Undertaker will respond or something,
right?
And nothing. And it's not like Cena's coming out and just barely mentioning it. He's having 20-minute promos about begging the guy to come wrestle again. Kane came back just to wrestle him because that's his brother. So don't get me wrong. I understand what you're saying.
Cena looks like a douche. A desperate douche because he just has to be at WrestleMania.
I do like that turn about it. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, there's I guess the thing is the idea is like nobody really knows what's going to happen. They've kept it pretty quiet. So I think in some ways that it does. People are going to watch WrestleMania regardless.
Yeah.
Right. But if let's just say, will Akira Tozawa wrestle Grand Metalik at WrestleMania? Or will John Cena, The Undertaker wrestle? You know what I mean? Like
this is all I'm saying, Karl. This is all I'm saying. I think we pretty much all agree that Taker will be there and they'll have some type of encounter. Okay, I've accepted that. But forget Grandma Metalik and Akira Tozawa. John Cena is still looked at as the face of the company.
Yeah,
he's such a big name. And he's extremely big because his movie that is 90% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes blockers comes out April 6th. So he's more relevant.
Okay, shill.
Then hey, I gotta pay for this podcast stuff some kind of way, right?
I see that.
But he's more relevant than ever. He's more relevant than ever because
right.
He has become a legitimate movie star. He's not just a guy that does movies. He's a legitimate movie star now.
Yeah.
So that notwithstanding, you have a huge portion of your fan base that's expecting to see a John Cena match. And I ain't talking about that's gonna sell them in the building because the name WrestleMania sells them in the building. But the two most synonymous names of the past 15 years with WrestleMania Well, WrestleMania ever is Taker, and the past 15 years is John Cena. So this is a match everybody's wanted, and you're implying it over and over and over and over and over again. Now, I am very okay with the fact of doing some last minute stuff, but last minute isn't the night of. Last minute is last minute. So there should have been something Monday, but there was nothing. So all I'm saying is, if you weren't gonna do that, then let John have a different feud and let him build with somebody else. That's all I'm
Right.
saying, because you've wasted time now. Now you've legitimately wasted time. It's
Right.
completely. I understand that the payoff would be cool live, and this is the time to do it because the gate's always going to be the gate. You're always going to sell because it's WrestleMania. You don't have to sell pay-per-views because it's on the network. You can control the time. Yes, it's the perfect time to try something like this. But these are the people you try it with because these are your pillars of your company,
Right.
and that's the
Well,
issue I have.
I get that. I will say this, and because what you were saying is exactly my point as to why what we had kind of alluded to earlier, that they've done a lot. They're doing a lot of different things,
Yeah,
trying different stuff this year. Because the
they can.
reality is,
They can.
Mania is going to sell. They can do it. They don't have to throw together the most. And this card is fucking stacked, by the way. But they don't have to do that every
Yes.
year because people are not going to WrestleMania these days for the card anymore. No matter,
Yeah.
I mean, some people are, but they're not. They're going to go down there for the weekend and do all the
And
other
the
shit. That's what people do, man.
and
It's an event.
and the tickets are bought before you know what the card is. So
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
right. Yeah.
it's an event. We're going down for the experience.
Yeah.
So that's what people do. So yeah, you're right. Um, so yeah, it's. I just don't know very many feuds where you can, if you want to try this, who do you try it with? And I will say this: what's kind of disappointing is if Cena doesn't have a match, this would be 2 out of the last 3 years.
Hmm.
And 32 he was hurt, and 33 the match was trash. I mean, him and the whole tag thing with
It
him
wasn't trash.
proposing,
It had a bigger point. But
it
yes,
was it was it was made me
it
want.
was a 15-minute segment. It wasn't
Yeah.
it was not a match. It was a bigger point.
So
Yes.
so basically, you're looking at 3 years of nothing from John Cena in a lot of ways, unless you're just hell bent on the total divas and the love of the fiance and all that shit,
Well,
total fellas or
I
whatever.
am
That's fine.
actually, yes, and don't
Well,
disrespect Rusev because that match was really good at 31.
I forgot about that one. But that's
Yeah.
the last time we've seen Cena in a really good match at WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 30 was a great match with
But
with Bray Wyatt.
here's the
All of
thing.
them, 29 and 28 was with The Rock. That's
Here's
not
the thing.
true.
No, I'm saying that's the last time we've seen it was 31 because 32 didn't wrestle. 33 was not a good match, and 34,
Okay.
well, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
And here's the thing though. If it is The Undertaker, still ain't gonna be a good match.
It's not gonna be a match.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no way in
I'm
hell
just
they're
saying,
gonna have a
if,
match.
I know, but
Yeah.
if they did, like people, like there's that
Oh no, it's gonna be trash.
idea
Yeah,
that it'd be
absolutely.
trash. So we're still not gonna get a good John Cena match this year at WrestleMania unless someone just randomly is like, you know what, motherfucker, like a returning Samoa Joe or someone like that decides to answer his call.
That was the match that we all wanted.
Right. So if that happens, impromptu match, nobody's known if Joe was coming or not, right? And we didn't know. I mean, yeah, you won't see the Undertaker. I don't know.
He got to go away eventually.
I don't. I'm
gonna-
cool with matches randomly happening because this is something they're trying that's different. I'd like to see how it goes over if Taker weren't showing up. I've said before, I'd love to see Taker not show up at all, completely ghost his ass, and all of 2018, John Cena's storyline is searching through taverns and shooting ranges and flagpoles trying to find the Undertaker.
No, I saw a tweet that said that it's WrestleMania 30, it's WrestleMania 34. John Cena comes out and calls out the Undertaker 15 minutes, and Vince, Linda, Triple H, and Stephanie come out and they're concerned because they fired Undertaker in 2003, and he's been seeing this for 15 years.
I like that. That's pretty good.
But to your point, and we got to move on from this because I did not want to talk about this very long. But who they are warrants it. Respect to the people who they are. You want to know how advertised matches go over at WrestleMania? Eric Rowan versus The Rock. We were there.
Yeah, well, that was also very impromptu. Like there was nothing prior. We just knew The Rock was. I think we knew The Rock was going to be there, but we didn't know what the Wyatt family was going to be doing. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yes, we did.
I know, but they didn't allude to it. Like Cena's literally been out there trying to get the Undertaker. Right. It wasn't like Luke or was it Rowan?
Eric
Rowan. It wasn't like Rowan was like, hey, The Rock, we want your ass at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
Yeah.
that. But I get
So
to your point. That's fair. Yeah.
you asked me who could you do this with this year feasibly? If even if you
Yeah,
do the
I'm
Taker,
curious about that.
Braun Strowman, and let me
Okay.
use that as my segue to the boy. I'm on it today.
I like it. Okay, that's
Thank
good.
you. So Braun versus the Bar, Braun and a partner versus the Bar. Um, if you kind of take I'm big on subtleties and I'm big on context and story, full story. Because I think everything matters on TV to me, and I realize I'm an idiot for thinking that, but that's just how I feel. When Braun started his singles career in WWE post Riot Family, the whole gimmick was I want more competition. He started fighting
Yeah.
two people at the same time. I want more competition. Well, I feel like this is a perfect callback to that because he pinned five people in the damn elimination chamber and lost out of some luck to Roman.
Yeah.
He realized he couldn't be in the world title
Bana,
match.
bana, bana. Go ahead.
Yes,
So I had to.
I love and hate that music simultaneously. Um, but so he was like, okay, well, what's the most I can do to get my competition so I can be world champ? I'll take on the tag team champs by myself. So I'm okay with it. But Braun deserves a better spot. The Bar deserves a better spot. So just to kind of segue the two segments, if Braun was the guy called not Taker, I'd be more okay with it because Braun's the guy who needs a segment more than John Cena does and give John Cena a
Sure.
match. Now, on to this match. Who's going to win? Who's going to be the tag team partner?
Uh, the tag team partner is going to be the Undertaker because he's going to ghost John
God.
Cena, and then
Well,
Taker's going to come out and be like,
That's our show, guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for listening.
how hilarious! Tell me, sitting in your chair right now, if Cena came out and did all this shit at WrestleMania, and Taker didn't show up, and then the very next segment was Braun, and the Undertaker came out as his partner.
I gotta be
That was
honest.
the funniest shit.
I would pop so hard. I'll become a Taker fan again.
Oh my
I
god.
can't
Okay,
lie.
I have no idea who Braun's partner is going to be, so I'm just going to start. You know,
You got to give me one.
there's a few. I'll give you one. There's a few things I'd like to see. So I'm going to give you what I'd like to see first. What I think would be hilarious. What might be cool. I think James Ellsworth would be hilarious.
Absolutely.
It's not going to happen, but it would be hilarious.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think a returning Samoa Joe would be cool, but I can't see Samoa Joe wanting to do that. Like
It
that,
wouldn't
Samoa
work.
Joe's
It's not
Samoa
Joe.
Joe is
Joe's gonna face
kind of his own guy.
and Joe's scheduled to face Roman for the title after WrestleMania. So there's not Joe.
Um, Big Cass is a name that you kind of hear
Keep
because
on
he's
going.
supposedly
Keep
weird.
moving. Keep moving. Nope. Keep going.
I'm hoping for Neville. If I was going to pick someone, that's who I would pick is Neville.
And if you
Because
remember,
yes,
before you
I know
before
what
you
you're
go
about
on,
to say. Yeah,
yes, Braun Strowman kind of gave him the nod of approval when
yeah.
Neville was jumping Enzo. So
And supposedly they've been trying to talk Neville into coming back or whatever. They've been trying to I don't know what the right word is, but kind of figure that situation out, make things better on that end of it.
yeah,
And I hope so. I mean, I know maybe a lot of people don't like the way Neville went about his business and whatever, and that's fine. You know, but the WWE, if they're anything, they're forgiving, and he's a top talent, and I want to see him on TV. So I have no issues. I'm going to go ahead and predict it,
okay.
mostly because it's what I want to see, and I don't really have a better guess. I mean, I really don't. I feel like it could be a number of people, you know?
Okay.
But I feel like that one with the callback, if people will remember, I'm sure some people will,
Yeah.
would be a cool way to introduce Neville back into. He's been gone for a while, so it'd be a cool way to bring him back.
Absolutely. And get him out 205 Live.
Oh, and by the way, who do I think is going to win? Braun Strowman.
Yeah,
And,
Braun's gonna win. Yes.
Yeah, Braun and his
Whoever he
partner.
tags with, Braun's gonna win. So the real question is who his partner's gonna be. So I'm gonna give you who I think is gonna be and who it should be.
Okay.
Who I think is, and for the record, let me acknowledge that had it been Rey Mysterio like it was scheduled to be before Rey couldn't pass the test, that would have been funny as hell to see.
Yeah, it would.
But who should it be? Bray Wyatt. And I say it should be Bray Wyatt because Bray is clearly in a crossroads right now with his career in kayfabe,
Yeah.
right? And Bray, whose whole story arc has been about family, well, it would make sense for him to seek out family. And I just
Yeah.
think it's something really cool for the prospect of the Wyatt family being both champions on both shows.
Yeah, with the
End of the
Bludgeon
night.
Brothers, sure, yeah.
That would
okay.
be a really cool callback. Plus, if you look at the real life aspect of it, Braun and Bray are best friends. They travel together all the time, and they're very open. They take pictures all the time. They're very open about it. So
They did one recently, a couple days ago.
absolutely with the
Yeah.
Rollies, yeah. But I think it's gonna be Big Show.
Okay.
And the reason I think it's gonna be Big Show is because Big Show has given so much to that company.
Yeah.
Uh, so much to wrestling, but so much to that company. Big Show has sacrificed his probably his legitimacy for the sake of good television, oftentimes. So Vince. Whether I know a lot of fans are going to disagree with this, but Vince is a loyal dude, and he's a rewarding dude if you reward him with loyalty. So I feel like Vince would want to give Big Show one last moment.
That's
And
fair.
since Braun has turned full on face, like it's one thing to get cheered. It's another thing to
Yeah.
pander to the crowd.
Oh, hey, he's
Braun's
a
a full
face.
on
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
And remember the last time we saw Big Show, Braun basically destroyed him.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a good callback for that, for Braun to get kind of his redemption, kind of like Seth did with Dean, and letting Big Show put him over and giving Big Show his moment.
Yeah. And there are possibilities here. There's a lot. If you go back and go through all the things Braun has done
hmm
over the last year,
hmm
I think over the last year, basically, all the things Braun has done, it leaves a lot of possibilities open.
Yeah,
You know, and it really does. Bray is a possibility. You know, even Neville to some degree, if you feel like, oh, okay, and the nod of approval. Big Show. There are a multitude of names that you could probably go with. And by the way, before we move on, I do want to say one thing about, because we haven't. I mean, yes, it is just about Braun, but I'm really happy that Sheamus and Cesaro are like. It kind of sucks because of how good they've been, even including up to last year where Matt Hardy and Jeff came in.
Stole that thunder.
Great moment, right? Cool moment, and took the titles off of them. It helped to facilitate that heel turn for them because at the time
it didn't turn to they took the titles off of Anderson and Gallows for the record, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. But eventually they had to. It kind of helped them. But I feel like they've been so good as a team, and like a lot of people, they're getting their props. But man, you kind of like. It almost feels like they're definitely being overshadowed a little bit here because Braun is so over, which is why you said, and to your point, it's not both guys, Braun and the Bar, both groups there should be in a better spot.
Yeah.
On WrestleMania, I think that because I mean in a lot of ways however you feel about people being where they shouldn't be or whatever, but yeah, I just wanted to give them a little shout out, a little props because we're not talking.
Love, yes. I do feel like one or both will be moved in the Superstar Shakeup, though.
That's a good chance of it. Cesaro and Sheamus have already voiced their frustration with Kurt Angle. It asked to be traded a while back.
They're the ones that brought it up the first time.
Send them to SmackDown and let them feud with the Usos right off the bat.
No, the Usos come to Raw, I believe, and
maybe yeah.
I'll tell you that why. Maybe on wax, maybe in person later. But for the record, I realize Braun Strowman and Big Show should be unstoppable, but the way you write yourself out of that is by calling up the authors of Pain, and then the authors of Pain take the titles off of them because the authors jumping on Big Show and taking him out and kind of sneaking Braun out of the. That's how you write yourself out of that because the authors feasibly can stand up with Braun and Big Show. But moving to the other triple threat, to the tag team match in SmackDown, the Usos have made the main card, y'all.
Yay! About time.
9 years. This is so deserving. I feel like my baby has graduated high school. Maybe not really, but the New Day versus the Usos versus the Bludgeon Brothers in what has yet to be announced as a ladder match. Maybe, but still, the three entities involved all have great talent and chemistry. Who you got?
Well, first of all, hopefully they will announce it as a ladder match. I know that sounds like why, but there's no gimmick matches currently that I can think of.
Yeah. No real ones, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing with a ladder, nothing with a cage, nothing crazy. So you got to have one. You don't have to. It'd be cool to see them not do it, but yeah, I mean, maybe they'll do that. Who do I have? I have the Usos. Look, every title can't change hands. It might. A lot of them might.
It's WrestleMania.
But I mean, it might. I don't like that. You know what I mean? I don't like it where it's like all the titles change. And I'm going to be predicting some retaining champs, by the way.
I'm about to very like next.
Uh,
Yes.
but um, I'm going to pick the Usos here. I don't think the New Day, maybe they get rewarded for not having a match last year, even though they got to be the host and fuck around and have an awesome time last year. Whatever. um, maybe they just want to do the dominance with the Bludgeon Brothers as tag team champs for a minute. They might want to do that. But with this being the Usos' first crack at a Mania card, yeah, I'm just gonna pick them. And I don't really have any like reason, you know. I feel like they're the most interesting of the three teams. The New Day is still fun. They're not interesting as much anymore. Big E
Well,
by himself kind of is,
but
but like,
they don't do anything in ring anymore. So yeah, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So the Usos, it's on lock. All right,
Okay,
I got the Usos.
so I'm gonna fantasy book while I do this, and I'm gonna do it really, really fast. I am predicting that the Bludgeon Brothers win
Mhm.
because number one, the story calls for it, right? Neither team can beat them. So,
Right.
yeah. I believe, and plus, like I said, I think it'd be cool to see the Wyatts, all the Wyatts end up with the titles, and whatnot. But um, I see the Bludgeon Brothers winning, and I see Cesaro and Sheamus getting moved to SmackDown, and Cesaro and Sheamus versus Harper and Rowan for 2 months ought to be
Ooh,
very good television watching.
brutal.
Yes. Um, and I see the Usos being moved to Raw, which is why I don't see them winning the titles. Because I see the Usos getting put back with their cousin.
Okay, I got you.
And I see a Joe Authors of Pain versus Roman versus a Bloodline feud.
I got you.
Now this is
Okay.
of course all me. No, nothing is saying this. There's nothing on TV. There's no backstage rumor. Meltzer hasn't said nothing. It's just all assumptions. But that's what I'm thinking. But I still think the Bludgeon Brothers will win, only because it makes the most sense, and you can tell the best and the longest term story with the Bludgeon Brothers because they haven't won it before. They're a new team. They haven't shown everything they can show. They're the bad guys. You can have all the good guys trying to come and overtake them. Yeah, so I got the Bludgeon Brothers.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't have much more to add.
So when we had our long ass diatribe about the petition induced cruiserweight championship match, the number one match that most people all seeded that should take the place of the cruiserweight title match on the pre-show was the United States Championship Fatal 4-Way match between Randall Keith Orton, Bob Roode, as Rusev will call him, Jinder Mahal with Singh brother number one, I believe it's Sunil,
Sure.
and Rusev with his Bard, Aiden English. Now, I want to say this. There's build to the match. We ain't gonna talk about that, but I want to say this. I need to be this is very important that I say this because a lot of people. This is probably the least most anticipated full like standard match on the card.
Yeah.
All four of these guys deserve this spot. Okay, I understand that this might not be the most popular match. I understand that this might not be the match that's going to pop you in terms of eye-catching moves and this, that, and the other. But all four of these guys have worked their asses off to well, three of these guys. Randy is Randy, but you know, to be in the spot. Rusev has worked so hard at rebuilding himself and his gimmick that his merch sale alone got him back in this match. Jinder Mahal had the greatest glow up in wrestling history, moving from jobber to world champion in less than 3 months. Bobby
Hmm.
Roode has had a very successful debut year. The only issue is we want to see him as a heel, so we never took him as
Correct.
seriously as he could have been taken. And Randy, for all of his flaws, is still one of the 5, 10 best wrestlers in the world when he's motivated. And he's always motivated at big shows. Always motivated at big shows. And I guarantee you, he's looking forward to do some crazy RKO out of nowhere to top what he did with Seth because that's just how he is. So I wanted to say that because most people, I guarantee you, most other shows are gonna listen to this and kind of like, okay, such and such. No, these four guys deserve this spot, and I want them to have their moment because they have worked hard. They deserve their moment. So I need
Yeah.
to give them the credit for that. So with that being said, I want you to I want to give you your time because I know you're a big fan of a lot of guys in this match. I am going to predict Rusev, even though Jinder should win, but I'm going to predict Rusev because I feel like uh, in my predictions for Social Suplex, I wrote, I think WWE is going to strike while the iron is hot. Dot 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 for once.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I got Rusev.
so, did you hear the whole rumor with Rusev today?
Um, the way you're talking, probably not. What was it?
Supposedly, a couple of weeks ago. Now, granted, who knows? PW Insider. I don't know how legitimate they are because I don't pay attention to these dirt sheets, but I just see shit on my timeline. Supposedly, Rusev asked for his release a couple of weeks ago,
Oh my goodness.
and WWE's response was to put him into this fatal four way.
Is that why they're saying? Because I was told it was merch sales.
See,
Oh,
so there we go. We got two conflicting stories, right?
oh.
And with that, I also think Rusev is if any of that is true,
He
I
get a
think
title.
Rusev is winning the belt.
Hell yeah.
First of all, who's the champ? Randy? This is
Randy's
bad.
the champ. No,
Like,
this is that's the problem with the feud. That
yeah,
there's a problem with the feud that I won't say the guys are languishing, but there's just is not anything interesting going on with it, which is a microcosm of the problem with SmackDown with just 2 hours, not enough
yeah.
time to build effective stories. But yes, Randy is the champ.
Especially with four guys, and,
Yeah.
and one's being kind of thrown in late and that kind of thing. So
And you could argue that Ziggler and Corbin are more deserving of being in the match than some of these guys. So
right.
yes,
So I think Rusev is going to win. I'm with you. I think Jinder should win. I think Jinder would be the best choice to win,
yes,
simply because.
he's tailor made to be U.S. champ.
Yep, exactly. He's all he does is shit on Americans.
Hmm.
And I know everybody hates that, the cheap heat nowadays. Nobody wants to see the foreign guy, the foreign heel. You know what? I still want to see it. And
If it's
it
entertaining, I
works.
don't care.
It works better with the U.S. title
Hmm.
because now at least it's not the WWE championship, right?
Right.
So you still have your foreign heel, and he's got the U.S. title, like that.
And imagine
So
if he drops it in the trash and brings out the Indian championship.
see, that
Jesus
would
Christ.
be I would lose my mind if he did something like that,
Yeah.
like in a good way.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, Jinder should win. I don't think. I mean, Randy's Randy. They just got him that belt so he could win that Grand Slam title. I feel the Grand Slam
And
accomplishment.
and because they had to find a way to put him in this feud, because Randy wouldn't fit had he not been in the title picture.
Yeah,
Because Jinder and Bobby had a real feud. Randy had to
yeah,
get involved some kind of way. So the only way to get him involved is give him the title.
yeah. And Bobby Roode, he has had a good year. You're right. We wanted to see him as heel. I'm not. Everybody knows me. I'm not the biggest Bobby Roode fan, but even I can agree that the heel, glorious Bobby Roode is what we wanted to see. That's what we want. So he's not very interesting either. Like the whole feud,
Yeah.
while the feud itself is not that great, I agree with you. All four of these guys have worked super hard. Randy Orton
Yes,
is
3. Yes.
Randy is Randy.
Yes.
But hey, Randy also, pulled that Punjabi prison match, and he did a whole 4-month deal with Jinder, about 3 months, whatever it was. And I
No
mean,
diss to Randy. Randy has paid his dues.
yeah.
No diss to Randy. It's
And you're not
just
putting Randy on the pre-show either.
okay.
Okay?
That's another
I
thing.
mean,
Yes.
just not happening. You want a shitty, unmotivated Randy Orton? Put him on the pre-show.
It's basically
Okay?
as unmotivated as Dean Ambrose was last year.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, now, I feel like someone like Jinder is going to be motivated regardless. But
Okay.
you also can't put a very recent WWE champion. You're just going to put him on the pre-show. There's some reasons behind some of this stuff. These guys are more high profile than the cruiserweight guys. It's just reality, and we're just going to have to live with it.
But the
You
fans,
know?
but the fans would like to see Jinder Mahal be an Access instead
Oh,
of.
I know.
So yeah,
They wouldn't even go see him at Access.
that's a good point. Yeah, I would love to
I
see.
would.
I would love to see the crowd for Jinder Mahal. Speaking of that, I haven't seen the ride along with him and Sunil Singh yet, but I
Either.
think somebody posted it. Might have been you retweeting it, but Jinder continues to prove, from what I read, that he's just the nicest human being alive.
Yeah, that's the same thing I've heard as well. Like, he's just a really good dude, and that doesn't mean hey, give him the world,
Sure.
but at least at the very least,
You can
his
understand why
peers
people want to
respect
push.
him.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that has to mean something. But anyways, yeah, prediction. We both got Rusev. I would not be surprised if Jinder did win. By the way,
Yeah.
I don't see Randy retaining, and I don't see Bobby winning it back. So
But I do see this being the catalyst for Bobby turning heel.
that could be. That could be.
Now we're gonna get to your favorite match,
Yeah.
the Intercontinental Championship match
Yes.
between The Miz, Finn Balor for everyone, and
Yes.
Seth Monday Night freaking Rollins.
Yeah.
So every WrestleMania, probably everyone, but definitely since three, has had a mid card match that fans kind of have gravitated to that maybe almost as uh, anticipated as some of the main events. It's kind of like the Savage Steamboat story or conundrum or whatever you want to call it, right? This is that match because the year the Miz has had, the Miz has not only remade himself, but he's remade that championship into a
Yep.
legitimate marquee championship. Seth Rollins has reminded everybody why he might be, with respect to AJ Styles, the best wrestler in the company. And Finn Balor, and I'm about to say this and it's going to sound really messed up, but please understand where I'm coming from. Finn Balor's a cockroach. In that no matter what happens to this dude, he's going to stay over, he's going to stay relevant, and he's always going to wrestle great matches. So, people were swearing to me that Finn Balor was buried at the beginning of in the middle of last year. But here
We can
we are
only hope.
going into WrestleMania. Well, shut up. Here we are going into WrestleMania, and he's in one of the clearly he's not in one of the top marquee matches that's gonna be on the side of the building. But this is still a huge match for a dude's first WrestleMania. So Miz, Finn, Seth. It's notable that Miz had the baby, so he doesn't have to leave the show, so he can focus on the match. Miz, in fact, just won the mixed match challenge, so he's really hot. But
Yeah.
and Seth finally got his win back on Finn on Raw. So this being your match of your most anticipated match of choice, what are you thinking?
Well, also remember, Miz is also chasing history as someone trying to hold the record for the longest time as Intercontinental Champion. So let's keep that in mind. Um, yeah, this is the match that I feel like nobody thinks that this will be the one to steal the show. They think it's going to be AJ and Shinsuke, maybe even Charlotte and Asuka. I feel like this match could really, really steal the show.
Many
First of
matches on
all,
the card can steal the show, by the way.
they could, but I don't think people are really thinking about this one necessarily because I think they're going to look at it as, oh yeah, it's Finn and Seth, but it's also the Miz, right? And the Miz is kind of he's a very kind of formulaic in how he wrestles, and Finn and Seth will do a lot of different stuff. Well, Seth, but anyways, my thought process here is difficult because Miz and Maurice just had their kid. And a part of me says, okay, well, maybe the Miz wants to take some time off and go be with his kid because the kid was just born. And that's fair. The other part of me says, first of all, I just want to say I don't think Seth is winning this match. I think it either comes down to Finn or Miz. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like Seth, now granted, he hasn't become a Grand Slam champion yet, if I'm mistaken. That's the one title. Seth. He hasn't won the IC title, right?
Yeah,
so
there's
there's that, but I still don't think it's going to happen. I think it's got to be Finn or Miz. It's Miz if they want him to break that record.
Mm-hmm.
It's Finn if you want him, as Miz said, since he came back, he's done nothing. That's true. I mean, Miz has done nothing but spit fire truth facts all over this feud. And honestly, this feud is as interesting as it is because of him. Okay?
Yeah,
you can love
absolutely.
Finn and Seth, the wrestlers, all you want. Okay? And that's fine. You can love Prince Devitt and you can love Tyler Black and all those as
Please
much as
call
you
it correctly
right.
before you get
I
killed.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You can do all that, but the reality is Miz is the one that's put this whole thing over. And so there's something to be said about that. And not to mention, how many more times I got to see Miz after what happened last year, where he was basically just there to get pinned, coming off the year he had. He still ended up being in a segment where he basically just was there so John Cena could propose to his girlfriend. I want to see The Miz win. I'm predicting The Miz to retain, even though I think he could leave and go spend time with his kid, which would be perfectly fine. I think he is the deserving one, but I do think Finn is next up. I think Seth is the least likely to win this thing. You could even go by the whole, the last guy to be on top on the go home show, always loses. That people
Yeah.
like to say that, but I don't think that's gonna,
Well,
you know,
I think Seth is a guarantee for SmackDown, personally.
it could be.
Um,
Yeah, that's a possibility, good possibility.
so I'm very troubled now that you said that because I have just realized that I believe we have agreed, except for the SmackDown Tag Championship match and the Battle Royals on every match because I am 100% with you on The Miz. I feel like The Miz has earned this. I also feel like we're about to see in the last four matches a lot of title changes. So somebody got to keep the title.
Yeah,
Miz has earned it. Um, God, when I say he's earned it, he's earned it. Miz has earned the right to have a WrestleMania moment he can remember that he wasn't concussed from. Um,
yeah,
so he's earned that. And the I I realize, and this is just not thinking it. It's a lot more meta than I expected it to be. But I realize it's different because of the characters and the alignments of the characters. But you think about Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania 30 story,
hmm
with him getting into the match, him beating Evolution effectively in two matches in the same night, winning the championship that he was quote unquote supposed to not have, then getting married like that same week. Well, Miz just had his first child,
hmm
won the mixed match challenge for a cause that he's very passionate about, even though I'm sure all of the teams got a good amount of money,
Oh yeah,
and him winning, him retaining his Intercontinental Championship that he's worked so hard to rebuild at WrestleMania. I just feel like and I wasn't even thinking about when I was thinking about this, the ramifications of Bryan and Miz continuing to have, you know, overarching character arcs.
yeah,
But I just think that this feels like one of those moments where Miz is being rewarded because like I said earlier with Big Show, Vince is very big on giving thank you Reigns and appreciation pushes, if you
yeah,
will. And Miz has been one of those guys who, even though he stays in the spotlight, even though stays with the championship most of the time, doesn't get that push to the world. Hey, I'm great by the company. He practically does it on his own. He picks up a mic and makes his own news. So yeah, I got the Miz, man, and even though I'd love to see Finn with the title or Seth with the title, Miz deserves it. Now I do feel like Finn is next, but God, Miz deserves it, man. I hope he gets his moment.
I do too. I mean, there's going to be plenty of time. I mean, Seth has had a moment that he'll never forget already, and Finn, this is his first WrestleMania, right?
His
So I
first one,
mean,
yes.
yeah, so he's gonna have. I mean, I know he's a little bit older, but so is Miz, and he's gonna have plenty of opportunities. And Finn, like you said, cockroach, never going away. Doesn't matter what he can do, 1,000 kicks a match, and he's still gonna be over with that
Wow.
crowd.
And here's the thousand kicks. You just never gonna let that go.
No, I'm
Um,
not.
Here's the most interesting part of the story. Finn ain't gonna be the demon.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe this will be the catalyst to bring the demon back to overcome the Miz.
Maybe I still won't care, but that's okay. That's okay.
Thank you,
That's okay. But
Karl.
yeah, but hey, I will say this about Finn. That I think he would carry the IC title well. I think he'd carry the cruiserweight title a lot better.
But Karl,
But
Karl,
what?
I'm protecting you from yourself.
Okay, too far.
So we have the final four matches. We've saved, I guess, the best for last. They're all
Yeah,
the main championship matches. So what do you say we start with the women first?
yeah, that's fine. We'll do that.
Okay, let's do the lesser of two evils. Let's do Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss um, for the Raw Women's Championship, of course. Um, I don't want to harp on this too much, but I think this is going to be the feel good moment of the night, and to me, this is a very important match because of what it represents for people and for women and for children, and Nia Jax is a very large woman and naturally large. She's not overly obese. This is just naturally who she was. She's been bullied for it a lot in her life and even in the company and this, that, and the other. And I'm a father of two daughters and things of that nature. So to know, to see her struggle, and plus, I've been bigger than everybody my whole life too. I'm not, you know, obese, but I'm just a big dude. So,
Right.
I know the feeling that everybody looks at you funny when you're in fourth grade and you're twice the size of everybody else, stuff like that. I know the feeling. So for her to, in the story, to have a best friend who was using her the whole time for her size and for her protection, when all she wanted was friendship and acceptance, and to finally be outed, like the story is just built for the crescendo of Nia getting her comeuppance.
Yeah.
But yeah, uh,
Okay, so my thoughts on this are kind of fall in line with yours. Now, from a different way, because you said you had kind of been picked on growing up
oh definitely,
because you were a bigger dude. I've never been a big person. You've met me.
hmm
I'm 5'9". Right now I weigh a little bit. I'm a little bit heavier because I'm getting dad bod. But other than that, like prior to that, I mean, I've been between 150 and 160 most of my life. I mean, I've been a little guy. My family is small. Rance, you've never met my parents, but they're little people as well.
yeah,
My whole family's just a bunch. There's very few big people in my family. So on that level, I cannot relate. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I can.
yeah.
However,
I was 150 in middle school. Wow.
okay, yeah. So I will liken it for my kids who are not big either. This isn't just about being big.
Yeah,
This is
no,
about,
definitely bullying.
this is about bullying. This is about the mean girl at school, picking on you because
You're different.
she's all that, and you're
Yeah.
different or whatever. My oldest daughter has a speech impediment, and we're working through that. She's seeing a speech therapist at school, and we're going to see about getting her in some stuff over the summer. It's getting better, but she's almost 6, and she has trouble saying certain letters and words, and maybe a lot of kids have that when they're young, So
Sure.
I'm not like freaking out about it, but it makes it hard to understand her. And the longer that this goes on, the harder it will be for her as kids, because kids are mean, and they pick on people. That's what you know. So this is a good man. Alexa looks like a bitch in this story. You know what I mean? Like she just
Yeah.
looks like the worst person on earth.
Yeah.
And we know, we all know. I hope, like to think, we all know that these two are best friends in real life, and I think that's why it's
Absolutely.
perfect for them to do this story. And I
Right.
know it kind of makes people cringe a little bit, and
But we
I
need
can,
that. We
yeah,
need that.
I can see sometimes you need to feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
It may not be the most tasteful story ever, but it's important. I think it'd be interesting to see how Alexa's able to rebound at some point from this, because a lot, you know what I mean by that, like she is like just looks like the worst, and so at some point, we'll see. But I'll let you expound more if you want to. I do want to just throw out a quick prediction because the match itself, I feel like Nia is going to murder Alexa. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe Alexa gives her the gold college try, but it feels like one of
Well,
those matches where
Mickey will,
extended squash
sure, but Mickey will be ringside, so there'll definitely be a lot for her to destroy.
overcome. She's still gonna have to overcome some stuff, but I
Yeah.
feel like Nia has to win, right?
Not. Oh, yeah. There's no way Nia doesn't win. Absolutely. Um, I do
Okay.
want to. Nia wins. I'm with you. I just want to expound on one thing you said that was very important. This might not be the most tasteful thing, but it's important. I don't want to be too political here, but that's a big problem with our country is that we've gotten so wrapped up in what's comfortable that we're scared of confronting the truth. And the truth is that what is it like 1 in every 3 kid is going to be bullied in their life.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying the answer is to fight every bully, but the answer is definitely to be proud of yourself and stand up for yourself and be comfortable in your skin. And Naya, or Lena Fanine, if you want to go real names, is one of the best, most brightest examples of that because she's a real life babyface. Like
Yeah.
not just talking in the ring.
Absolutely.
She's a real life babyface, and she really is proud of who she is, and she's comfortable in her skin, and she's
And she likes
comfortable.
to lift people up too.
Absolutely. And she's most importantly, she's comfortable being vulnerable. Like it's okay to acknowledge the fact that things are hard. Because once you acknowledge that they're hard, people are going to tell you who they are. They're either going to tell you they're there to support you or they're not. And you can actually do something about it. And so um, she deserves this. She deserves this moment. Her and Alexa being best friends deserve this moment together. And Alexa will rebound just fine because there's no way in hell Alexa should beat Nia Jax anyway.
That's true. I just mean like from a character perspective, like at
People
some
have
point, if you
committed
ever want to
people have tried to
turn her
commit murder.
face, I know that's
People have
true.
tried to commit murder. So,
That's true.
you
We'll
know,
forget about it at some point.
yeah. Braun got made face because he was trying to kill people. Um, but we talked about my girl. I'm a Nia fan. You are the biggest Charlotte Flair fan I know.
Yeah.
So,
Let's do it. Here's the thing about we're just. I mean, I don't feel like the match needs any introduction, but if you want
no,
me to, I
Charlotte
will.
versus Asuka, yeah.
For the women's title. The great thing about this was, if I recall when we did the pod with Sierra a while back,
Yes.
this was what I thought was going to happen. Charlotte was going to get challenged by Asuka. That's what I thought was going to happen when Asuka won the Rumble. She's going to challenge Charlotte. Because this feels and felt like, to some degree, kind of the year of the dream match,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this is the dream match. Now, this is
Sure.
the marquee match for the WWE in the women's division.
Sure.
This is the marquee match. I don't think you could replace Charlotte with really anybody.
Paige is the only person that would be relevant.
Yeah, so this is, and I don't think you could replace Asuka with anybody either.
No. It has to be
Charlotte's
Asuka.
wrestled them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Empress versus, I mean, everything is just perfect, man. They both wear robes. They both have this flair and this charisma. And Asuka's always had it. She can't. She's okay. Like her language barrier obviously is there with the mics because it doesn't matter because she's Asuka. It doesn't matter. Like she doesn't even need to talk if she doesn't want to. And when she does, it still sounds cool to me. Like even when like she's you can't always kind of I'll have trouble understanding her a little bit. I'm still like, this is awesome. Like I don't know why, just something about her, man. She's got this charisma.
Yeah.
You can't teach it. No Enzo Amore. You can't teach it. You just can't.
Wow, that's a name I hadn't heard in a while.
Yeah. So, but Charlotte, and the thing I love about Charlotte is she's had it, but she didn't always like have it.
Although she had to earn it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and she's there now, okay? But like, there was a time when, Charlotte was kind of struggling on the microphone, and she's always kind of she's genetically superior, right? So like when she gets in there in the ring with a lot of people, she just looks like she should just whoop their ass, because like her and Sasha Banks was one of the best feuds in the women's division for a long time.
That's probably the feud that got you into women's wrestling, honestly.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, Sasha doesn't look like Charlotte's equal. Very few people look like Charlotte's equal. You know what I mean? Asuka, I don't say that she looks like Charlotte's equal, but she feels like her equal.
Well, she hasn't lost
everything
days, Karl, so yes.
Yeah, but it's not even that though. It's just like something that she like when I see some of these girls stand toe to toe with Charlotte, I'm just like, when I see Asuka do it, I'm like, yeah. And it's not even just because she's got the streak, because to be honest with you, I'm over the streak. I really am. And it's not anything to do with Asuka because I love Asuka. I love them both. This is probably my second most anticipated match of the night.
Okay.
Just for the sheer volume of what it is and what it means and how big of a dream match it is for this division. And we've seen them break a lot of barriers, bust the doors down this year, especially.
Yeah.
A huge year for the women.
Yeah.
And this is like the culmination of that huge year.
Yes.
And yeah, it's not the whole group of women, but it's the two that you just, you know what I'm saying here.
Yes.
I feel like you understand what I'm saying. And to make it a long story short, I'm super pumped for the match. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be hard hitting because Asuka is hard hitting and Charlotte is too when she wants to be.
Yes.
And Charlotte has become a great salesman of offense lately, better than she was for a while.
Okay.
And I think she's going to, make it look good when it comes to her getting her ass whooped. But here's the thing, and I'm going to be completely wrong, but I've got to take one out on a limb prediction for this pay-per-view.
Here we go.
I gotta
Ruby Wyatt. Ruby.
Yeah. I gotta take one, and I'm gonna do it one of two ways. I'm gonna predict that Charlotte loses the match.
Okay, that's not a big prediction, but okay.
No, it's not. She's not gonna be the one to break the streak. She's gonna whoop Asuka's ass. I'm gonna predict that finally
F-A-B-U-L-A-U-S. Yes.
Okay, and maybe this is just me wanting this so badly, but I'm gonna predict that Asuka wins the title, but I'm gonna predict that Carmella cashes in on a beaten down Asuka and breaks the streak on some bullshit
heat.
For the nuclear heat. You want to get people pissed off, and I don't know if it's good heat or bad heat if they did it. But
it might not be smart to do that in the same night Daniel Bryan loses his first match back.
Right.
You might not want to do that to the crowd.
I'm gonna say this: if Asuka wins, I hope Carmella does that. Otherwise, I want Charlotte to win. Okay. Like I want Charlotte. Here's the thing: the streak is cool, but I don't get into streaks like this because they just get so long and like. It's just for, I don't know. Like, I can't even keep up with all these matches, like how many matches she's won and all this stuff. So, if anybody's to break the streak, Charlotte will be the one. You could say Ronda Rousey.
There you go.
Ronda. But see, I feel like that's going to not go over well. So,
they got a year to promote that and build to it. So,
they do. So, that might happen. But I'm going to predict. That's my out on a limb prediction that will not be right, by the way, at all. But I got to have some fun with this. Carmella. Got to have some fun with this. I'm going to predict Carmella.
There was a story that came out. You know how these backstage things could come. These backstage stories could be. There was a backstage story that came out about a month ago saying that Carmella was very open and welcome to the idea of cashing in at WrestleMania and losing. Because it would be something different and it would be a big moment and all this, that, and the other. So I don't know how much credence I give that, but I don't believe that she's going to cash in. I believe she's going to come down, but I believe it's going to be the misnomer of a lifetime. I just don't see it.
Okay.
I don't. I'm not saying that this match has to be wrestled with the utmost integrity of fighting spirits and pure rest. No, because the beauty of Charlotte and Asuka and Sasha and Paige to a lesser extent is that they are dirty as fuck. They like when they wrestle, when they fight, they're in there to hurt you. Like it's real. They're out there really trying to get it. So yeah. Obviously Asuka wins. I do not know where they go afterwards. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull some Dolph Ziggler stuff and let her. See, this is what I'm thinking. Rollins. Everybody wants to recreate the Rollins cash-in, which is the greatest cash-in ever, which is one of the best WrestleMania moments ever. You can't do that every year And you can't do that with every
Mm-mm.
person. And no disrespect to Carmella, because Carmella she's made herself into be a viable member of the roster, but she is not worth, in my opinion, doing that. Now I understand the heat that it will bring, but you also have to remember that wrestling don't stop Sunday night. You got to have Raw
Sure,
Monday and SmackDown Tuesday. And can
sure,
Carmella be compelling as a heel champion with a woman who's never lost in her entire career chasing her? I don't think so. So I don't think you can get a prolonged story out of that, especially now if you give her a heater, if she still had James Ellsworth, if you give her you know, if you bring in, I don't know, the iconic duo to have her back, or bring in Shayna as her bodyguard, somebody to get to be her heater, we could talk about that. Just
yeah,
like kind of how we feel about Andrade and Zelina. We could talk
sure,
about that because then it's an act. It's not just one person. And Carmella isn't good enough in the ring to hang with. Uh, Carmella's less talented than Alexa is, and that's not a diss, but that's just so she is. Even though she's a compelling talker and she's a compelling character, but that's a lot to put on her shoulders.
sure. I wanted to, because I mean we're getting to the nitty gritty here, and there's two more matches left, so we can still kind of go on about this for a second, because this is one of the biggest matches on the card in my opinion. Um,
Absolutely.
I want to one thing you talked about earlier, and I'm gonna kind of use it to my argument. And I know we should be talking about Charlotte and Asuka, but it kind of compounds on with the Carmella thing here. We talked earlier that WWE has been about moments.
Yes.
Carmella's character, not necessarily her character, I guess,
Hmm.
but one thing she's done really well is take a big fat shit on moments. Go all the way
That's a
back to
good
the
point.
first Women's Money in the Bank,
That's a good point.
the way that went down.
Yeah.
And she showed no give a damn about it.
No, no, go further back, Carl. Go further back. She shit
Yeah,
on Nikki Bella's return.
but you're right. Yeah, you're
So
right.
yeah.
I see. Okay, so she doesn't give a fuck about moment. And then after they took the briefcase from her, she
She
did it
won it
again.
again. Yep.
She won it again, and she did it. She made sure of it with the chair shot to beg. I mean, all that stuff. She doesn't give a shit about moments. And so, in a way, like the reason why I would love to see it, and this is just from a me perspective, and I totally get it not happening. Okay.
Hmm.
I totally get it. Your points are completely valid. But if you ever wanted to just like not take a shit on a moment, but if you wanted like imagine Carmella the Tuesday after SmackDown, and I know it's not as hot as that Raw crowd, but like but they're still going to be hot. They're still going to be in New Orleans.
Sure.
You know, you just kind of think about like it wouldn't be Roman Undertaker heat,
It would be
okay,
major heat though.
but it would be heat, and it doesn't even matter to me. Like if it's all if they are a company that's really concerned with moments, then what happens to Carmella afterwards with Asuka chasing her? Meh, it is what it is. Carmella will always have. I broke the streak, whether I did it through the most bullshit way ever. She'll always have it, and there's nothing they can take it away. She's been taking moments. She took the Money in the Bank moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
But
she's taking. I mean, so that's just kind of my thought process.
would I like to see it? Yes. But that's the fear you run when you have streaks. It's the same issue why people are so passionate about the Undertaker streak, because the person who ended it, that is a war trophy you wear on your chest, right? How long
Right.
did Paul Heyman tell us that my client defeated the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania? It was almost a full year. He was telling us that, right? Because the relevance of that is the ramifications of him doing that. That is kayfabe now, not real life kayfabe. The single greatest accomplishment ever done.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I say that to say this: Brock Lesnar. Part of that is what has given Brock Lesnar his unbeatable allure, because the only guys who have been able to handle Brock, and I don't mean like give it to him, but like beat him, are past people:
Right.
Goldberg, John Cena, and Triple H. And John Cena and Triple H went through the worst beatings they ever went through in their careers just to beat him, right?
Yeah.
So he was a guy that maybe fans didn't want, but was worthy of the honor of that streak. Asuka's streak is totally different than Taker's, even though I think it's more impressive because it's consistent. But that might ruin Carmella's career
Right.
to
That's
have
fair.
that stain on her that she beat the streak and never did anything else in her career again. I'm not saying she won't, because she's shown herself to be very talented and she can make herself over and all that. I'm not trying to shit on Carmella. I'm just saying you have to book for more than WrestleMania.
Right. Here's
'Cause it,
another way to look at this. I mean, just another way to look at this.
yeah,
Just an idea. I know we're getting into fantasy booking and shit, but I'm just
that's
thinking about
fine.
ways they could do it and try and pull it off, and it would be interesting.
Yeah,
Asuka is just challenging for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Is she technically an official member of the SmackDown roster?
I don't know because she wrestles on Raw every week and that annoys the hell out of me.
See, so think about this, okay? Say Asuka doesn't win, and say they wanted to do the triple threat thing again, whereas Carmella cashes in mid-match. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Say Carmella wins the match, doesn't even pin Asuka. She pins a knocked out Charlotte, wins the title, and Asuka doesn't ever win the title, and she doesn't get to chase Carmella either because Asuka's shipped back to Raw because she was never a SmackDown superstar to begin with. And then Carmella is away from Asuka. She still can talk shit about having the streak.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like, and that would make it even worse. Like the heat would be even worse because it's like
Yeah,
she
'cause
can't even do anything about it.
She didn't even beat Asuka. Yeah,
Didn't pin her. Asuka can't do anything about it because she's on Raw. You know, those kinds of things. And those are just thoughts I have in my head. I'm sorry for all this fantasy booking, but
no, I fantasy booked pretty much the whole show.
yeah,
My only
that's
response
okay.
to that, and we need to move on. My only response to that would be this: that's literally the same thing Rollins did, and you
Yeah,
would want to differentiate between that and this. So if they do go with the cash in, it's going to have to be something very different, very unique, and something that can carry a story for a prolonged period of time. Can they do it? I do believe they can. Oscar streak, if they can find a way to utilize it correctly to where it will help the story for the next 2, 3, 4 months, I'm behind it. I
yeah,
just don't want to ruin. I hate streaks, so I don't care whenever Oscar loses. I really don't give a shit. But I don't want to ruin a character who has potential by
yeah.
giving her
I
something
get
she's
that.
not ready for.
Yeah,
But before we move on, I think we need to acknowledge the fact that we have 2 matches left in the card to go through, the 2 world title matches. And WrestleMania 34 has 4 women's matches on the card. That is progress.
yeah. You're right.
2 singles women's championship matches, a marquee mixed tag with two of the most powerful and notable women in entertainment and sports, and then a battle royal with all the women from Raw, SmackDown, and some from NXT. I just, we keep talking about the change, and I've been a big proponent that the real change wasn't the women getting time. They already done that. They've gotten that. They've gotten time. They've gotten all the matches. The real, uh, the real growth and evolution was them being treated as equals in everything they do. So the fact that they have 4 matches on the card, the fact that they have real storylines, it is not just I don't like you, you don't like they're real storylines. This is progress.
Yeah,
So we shit on WWE 365, a year. So when they do something right, they deserve to be applauded. So
I agree. I think you said it well.
I applaud them for giving the women. No, let me change that. I applaud the women, the WWE, for allowing the women the match that they deserved on this
Right.
card. So yeah,
I agree. I couldn't say it better myself.
yeah,
I mean, we've gone a lot of podcasts talking about the women, and
yes,
that's something that a long time ago maybe if we were doing a podcast we might not have done.
yeah. I
So
mean,
and a lot of people don't want to hear 2 dudes running or talking about the women a lot of times. So it's
well then we call Sierra.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but that's yeah. I mean, they've earned it, and I think it's great. You
Yeah,
know,
very
so
excited. I'm one of the more things I'm excited about in the card is to see the women in their moments.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's time to get to the main events of the evening. So let's go with the dream match first.
Okay.
The IWC Dream Match.
You would save Roman for last.
Well, you kind of know the sign on the marquee has not changed.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, but I'm saving Roman and Brock for last because most assuredly they're going to be the last match on the card. Most assuredly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura in the rematch of Wrestle Kingdom 10, their match. I've seen that match. I watched that match, no, not live because that was like 4 o'clock in the morning, but you know, um, one of the best matches you'll ever see. Of course, I'm not the biggest fan of strong style, so there's a lot of stuff in that match that was wow to me, but it's a absolutely entirely intoxicating great match. 4.5, 4 and 7 3/4, 4 5 stars, whatever you want to call it. The build is a little different because in the WWE they're presented as equals, right?
Yeah.
Um, in New Japan, AJ was the leader of the Renegade Faction Bullet Club, and Shinsuke was the leader of Chaos, which was the king of the company at the time. Because Chaos, if you don't know, is the faction which Okada's the head of now, who came under Shinsuke, and Gato, who is the booker for New Japan, is a member of. Um, so there was that in it. But while these two are almost mirror images of each other in the ring, they couldn't be more different. AJ is a very serious, grizzled veteran wrestler who cares about his in-ring ability and how he's perceived based on his in-ring talent, and Shinsuke
Hmm.
don't give a fuck about nothing. Like
Very true.
that what's that song? I ain't worried about nothing. I ain't worried about nothing. Ha. That is Shinsuke Nakamura. He is living his best life out here, kneeing people in the face and throwing out finger poses to the crowd. He is just living his life.
Yeah, no
Um,
doubt.
but the expectations for this match, I don't know if there's ever been a match that has had the expectations for star ratings, because now we expect work rate and star ratings instead of expecting good matches. But I don't know if there's ever been a match that's had the expectations of the star rating this match has, because I truly believe that if this match is anything less than 4.5 stars, people would just be disappointed, and that is insane. But that is the level of which they have built themselves up for this match. They're definitely game. They definitely will do it. Um, and this crazy thought process that, well, they ain't gonna get no time. They're gonna get 15 minutes in the middle of the no. They're gonna get 30 minutes for the match. They're probably gonna have a 45-minute segment because they know what they got. But what you think of the match? Who you got?
Uh, so what I think about the match is, first of all, the build, like you said, has been different. The build for this match specifically, because with dream matches, sometimes you don't always need a great build. They're like
Absolutely.
these two, they build themselves because of who they are, and
And
that's just, and that's okay.
real
Yeah.
quick. I want to expound on that just and because I wanted to give you your full platform. But to add to that, I've had arguments with people, debates about why this match wasn't pushed more. Shinsuke Nakamura isn't the type of act that you can push if he's out there like that. He's such a unique individual. So the best thing for this match would be for Roman and Brock or Cena and Taker if they have that, or Rousey to get them in the door and then be intoxicated by seeing Shinsuke for the first time, which then makes you a fan. And I'm saying this from experience because one of my best friends watched him on Takeover Toronto. We were supposed to watch UFC, but we watched that first, and he
Right.
left being a Shinsuke fan. He doesn't watch wrestling. He knows it because of me, but he doesn't watch it. And he randomly sends me him driving to his theme song from seeing him one night. And that's what Shinsuke is. He has to win you over. But I wanted to add to that. You're absolutely right. They don't need a build traditionally.
Right. They don't. So this is, the build is what it is. And Shinsuke, one thing we know about AJ Styles, he's always motivated.
Hell yeah.
One thing we know about Shinsuke Nakamura is when he's motivated,
Yeah, that's the problem.
he is unbelievable. Okay, so these guys, now of course they had the match at Wrestle Kingdom 10. So what's that been? 2 years ago?
3.
3?
This will be the third year, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this has been 3 years following. So let's think about that. They've aged a little bit.
And they're
Okay.
both old, for the record.
They're
They're both
both
old.
older. Yeah, they're both older. This isn't strong style per se. This isn't New Japan, so they can't. They're gonna beat each other up, but maybe not quite to the violence level as they might do over there. Maybe that
It
might give them a little leeway here.
it'll be more strong style than we've seen. Absolutely, they'll have some leeway.
But I'm not saying that these guys can't go 4.5 stars because they absolutely can. But I'm simmering my expectations a little bit because that's just what I'm gonna do. Because I don't want to get myself all hyped up for this match. And I know my buddy Dustin that's going with me. This is the match he is going to WrestleMania for.
Not
So
surprised.
this is his match. And actually, he's a huge Daniel Bryan fan. So I think the fact that none of us knew that Daniel Bryan was coming back, really, not, at least not right now. And so when that happened, that just put the cherry on top for him. But he is there for this match. So for his sake and for everybody else's sake that's got themselves,
Built
whatever.
up.
I hope that this match delivers to their full expectations. I'll be happy if they pull 4 stars out, 4.25. I'll be completely cool with that, and I think they will. And I also think AJ Styles is retaining the title.
Really?
Yeah. I know you think I'm crazy, and that's fine.
Hmm.
There's there's a reason because I feel like for AJ especially, what he's done in these 2 years or so he's been with the company now. Let's think about it. He came in and debuts at the Rumble. He gets a
Hmm.
couple of opportunities against Roman early on for the
Well,
title.
well, first that's the Jericho feud, but then yes,
Yeah,
finish.
the Jericho stuff, but I mean I'm kind of skimming over some things, but like the
Yeah,
Roman feud, and then he
the
finally
John
wins the
Cena feud.
title. Yeah, he
John Cena
wins
feud.
John Cena.
Then he
He
wins the
wins the
title.
title,
Yeah.
and then he loses it to Cena, right? And so he doesn't have it for a while, and then he wins it back from Jinder. And some stuff. There's stuff in between here,
Sure.
but I want like specifically with the WrestleMania. He came in his debut WrestleMania matches against Jericho. He lost. He came in last year. His second match was Shane McMahon. They tore it up because AJ's AJ and Shane's crazy and will do whatever he has to
Give
do
give
to tear
Shane
it
his
up.
credit. Yes.
Yeah. But once again, it was the hot opener, and it was a good match.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, this is like it's not going to be the last match of the show, I don't think, but it might as well be. I mean,
Hmm.
it's 1A and 1B in my opinion.
I'll
Okay,
disagree with that, but okay.
but this is like I feel like this is the time you say, okay, AJ, you've been crushing it since you walked in the door. Shinsuke hasn't been crushing it since he walked in the door. He's had some crushing it moments, but he
Hmm.
hadn't been crushing it. AJ has been crushing it, and this is like to me, it's another deserving thing, not so much as what should happen as what actually not what will happen as much as I think is what should happen.
Yeah.
I feel like AJ has deserved an opportunity to hold the WWE Championship above his head at, towards the end of WrestleMania in one of the marquee matches of the night.
Okay.
In the dream match. That's my opinion. That's why I think he's going to win. I think Shinsuke I don't know if he makes a better chaser or a champion, to be honest with you, because I've got a read on him
He's a great
still.
champion if you watch him in New Japan. He's an extremely great. He's a wonderful champion. But yeah, WWE is a different beast. Yeah.
I would like to see them. The thing is, if AJ just flat out wins, then Shinsuke goes kind of the back of the line.
Hmm.
So if you want to get another match out of this, then Shinsuke needs to win, right? So, it
Technically.
depends on what you want to do. But I still am going to take AJ here. I don't think it's like way out of left field to pick one of the greatest wrestlers in the world to win the match at WrestleMania.
This is true.
So,
So let me say this: of the top four matches, women's Raw on SmackDown, men's Raw on SmackDown, AJ is probably the most likely to possibly retain.
yeah.
I will give you that. But everything you said is why I believe Shinsuke has to win. AJ is consistent. AJ is proven, and AJ has gotten to the point in the company. AJ is in the top 10 earners of WWE. Like, it's very clear that we use, we're going to talk about this next, but he's one of, quote unquote, Vince's boys. He's gotten to that point. With that being said, it ain't nothing for Vince to say, AJ, belt's yours, baby. AJ might be what the new Edge, even though Adam Cole is the NXT Edge, the WWE Edge. And I think AJ is guaranteed to be in the World Championship match unless he has something bigger for the rest of his career, as long as he wants to wrestle. He has
Sure.
gotten there. Shinsuke got the shit to get off the pot. And I realize that that's disrespectful to people who watch him in New Japan, but Shinsuke has earned a lot of his ire because he has not been motivated and has not been up to every match that he's had. And no, there's no excuse for that. I don't care if you ain't getting what you want. I don't know. Screw that. You signed up to do a job. Do your job.
Mhm.
So he deserves ire for that. But you have to see what you have in Nakamura as a performer. You have to see it. Nakamura as a champion has shown to be compelling. You know, Nakamura with something to do has shown to be compelling. You have to see what you have with Shinsuke. So I think he has to win just to see, because some people are bad challengers and great champions.
Right.
It is just what it is, right? Some people are better chasers than champions. I don't care what nobody. You can argue me down. You can argue me to death all you want. Stone Cold was not a good champion to me. He was always a better chaser, in my
Oh,
opinion.
I agree with that. The Rock was a great champion.
Yes, The Rock was a great. Triple H is a great champion, a terrible chaser. You
Right.
know, that's just how it is. And call me crazy, but that's just the way I perceived it. Daniel Bryan is the best chaser we might have ever seen. You
Sure.
know, Mick Foley, for that record, is a better chaser than a champion. Um, so I think Shinsuke is a better champion than chaser. So Shinsuke, you got to give him his moment. You got to give him his opportunity. And at least if this fails too, you can say, Shinsuke, we did everything we could.
Yeah,
We
I
did
agree.
everything we could. We rolled the red carpet out. We gave you everything in the world. And you could argue all you want about how he's been booked this year, but nonetheless, he's still had marquee matches, championship opportunities, this, that, and the other. At this point, Shinsuke has to prove that he's still Shinsuke.
I want to say this real quick. We can wrap it up if you want to on a
Yeah,
nice little bow here.
yeah.
I hedged my bet a little bit because I also predicted Asuka to lose.
Oh, so both
uh,
Japanese people losing? Yeah.
right, so, well, what I'm thinking here in my head is I feel like one of these Rumble winners has to lose. Not has to lose, but I feel like one is going to.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know which one they're going to choose if they choose. I could be completely wrong, fuck if I know anything, but I'm just saying stuff. But like, I just kind of like, in a lot of ways, I feel like the Rumble winner does. I don't know what the record is on the Rumble winner actually
Most of
winning
the
the
time they
title.
win. Yeah, most of the time they win.
So now that you've got a second Rumble, I feel like you can get away with a
Sure,
little bit more losing.
sure.
They don't always have to win because you've got the other one on the back burner. And Shinsuke really out like Asuka. If you think about it, she didn't. I mean, her winning the Rumble was really cool, but she would have gotten to a championship match regardless.
Sure.
Shinsuke kind of needed to win the Rumble because
Yeah.
he didn't really hasn't done a whole lot that's like, oh, you should be next in line. I mean, he's had opportunities, but you know what I'm saying. So I feel like one of these two has to lose. So I'm hedging my bets and I'm picking them both to lose. So that
Oh,
way maybe I'll get one of them right.
that's a good thought process. And you did a little fantasy
And I get
book.
them both wrong.
Yeah, probably so, which would probably happen. Um, to fantasy book this situation, if you wanted to make this a better story, Shinsuke should have beat Jinder at SummerSlam. Shinsuke should have been the guy to fight Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series because they have history. They wrestled each other in New Japan,
Yep.
and That way, you have 6 months to see what you got with Shinsuke as a champion, and AJ can win the Royal Rumble, which is a bigger accolade for a guy like AJ because he's
Yeah.
gonna have more title reigns out the world. He's gonna have them. But the Royal Rumble accolade is something that not everybody has. He could have gotten the accolade, and AJ could leave WWE WrestleMania with the WWE Championship over his head. That way,
Sure.
everything you wanted to happen will happen, and everything that we needed for Shinsuke to happen would have happened. Six
Yeah.
months to prove yourself. AJ gets his title reign, the moment at WrestleMania and the accolade. Everybody happy.
hmm Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so that's what should have happened. Granted, WWE doesn't always do what should happens, but nonetheless,
Hey, we'll tell them how to run their company. Don't worry.
yeah, because I've worked at a wrestling company my whole life.
Yeah, same here. That's all I do. I mean, you guys didn't know.
Yeah,
This is our side gig, fellas.
absolutely. I don't work on computers, no.
Me either.
Um, so before we get to the main event, some breaking news just came through a little bit ago that will affect the match. And I don't know if you want me to tell you
I heard
before.
it.
Okay.
I managed to catch it.
So in in uh in the interest of good faith and honesty, Dana White has officially come out and said that Brock is coming back to the UFC. So he says officially the quote is, yeah, Brock Lesnar's coming back. I don't know when, but yes, he is. So while most of us already believed that Brock was going to lose anyway, and if Brock like, so we're going to talk about this match, of course, but clearly Roman has to win. That'll be the biggest burial in wrestling history if after all of this Roman still loses. That's the biggest burial ever. Um, it is. Uh,
I can't decide how the fans would react either.
the fans will cheer.
Yeah,
The
maybe.
Mania crowd would cheer. Now, granted, the build up. So let's talk about the build up because we know what's going to happen eventually, right?
Yeah.
The build up has been, I think the build up has been not excellent, but very, very well done because they've managed to get Roman cheered by a majority of the audience. And
Yeah.
yeah, I realize that fans believe that that's what all Vince thinks about at night, and sure, and all that. I'm sure they want Roman to get cheered, but I know they like Roman in that awkward spot of just getting reactions, whether it's positive or negative. They like that. But for the point of the match, somebody had to be the protagonist, somebody had to be the antagonist. So playing with real life stuff with Brock very openly negotiating with UFC and no showing a pay-per-view to go to UFC and take a picture the night of a pay-per-view, and then the next night no showing, which has come out to be storyline, but he did not show up when it was advertised, and the real life with Roman having issue with it going back to 31. Because remember the bill for 31, Brock showed up once. They had two run-ins. Once the night of the Royal Rumble when the show got snowed out, and once the night before WrestleMania. That's the only time they ever face to face.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Roman is thinking in kayfabe, this dude just don't want to come in. He don't want to. He don't want to come to work. He want to defend his title, and he doesn't want to face me. I'm sick of this. Let's handle this right now. Um, and then they had to get physical, and they've gotten physical. And I would have liked for Roman to have gotten over the second time, like the first beatdown when he was arrested and all that was fine, because that was brutal and was unfair and wrong. But the second time when he came out and he was hurt and Brock still beat him down was a bit too much. But I like how they flipped it with Roman, Superman, and the ever loving shit out of him this past Raw 5 times, holding
Right.
the title up, the crowd cheering, and then Brock sneaking like a little snake, picking him up F5 and getting the fuck out of Dodge. So I have enjoyed the build because we know the match is going to be great. We know there's going to be an air of controversy around this match, whether it's the crowd and how they're going to respond to it, Brock leaving, just the way they feel about Roman, everything involved. But you cannot say that there is not a genuine and organic story behind this match. You can't say it. You can't say it. If you do say it, then you're a a fucking loser ass wrong liar. And I mean that from the bottom of my soul because I'm so sick of people picking and choosing what they're okay with just because the name Roman Reigns is associated with it. Just because you don't like him does not mean that he cannot be a part of real things. And this is a genuinely organic story.
Let me ask you this. And I agree with you.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this. No, you're fine. Just simmer down. Simmer down there. Let me ask you a question. Do you remember, of course you remember this, but when, not the most recent encounter at WrestleMania, but their first encounter at WrestleMania between Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg.
At 20, yeah.
And everybody knew that they were out the door.
Both of them were, yes.
Yeah, everybody knew they were out the door, and they shit all over it.
Yeah.
Well, Roman already gets shit on as it is. Maybe not this last Monday. And Brock, who most people like, but now we know he's probably out the door. Do you think that Dana White coming out and saying that was a bad move? Because I'm afraid, maybe not for Dana White.
There you go.
But I'm a little concerned now. Like, we all kind of thought maybe Brock was going back, but it wasn't confirmed, right?
Sure.
And we all kind of knew Roman was winning this match. I mean, this isn't like new information that's come to light. But now I'm worried even more so that the crowd is just going to shit on this match because of the fact that now we know for sure. So they made us go through all this for a year, right? All
3
this
years
stuff.
if you're
right
to some people.
But like recently with Brock winning the title last year, like we've had to deal with him being champ for an entire year where he's hardly ever there. And I know some people like it, most people don't like it, some people do, and it's fine. Whatever your opinion is whatever it is. But we've gone through all of this where we've hardly seen the champ, we've hardly seen Brock, and then they're giving us, I say us loosely because not you and me, but they're giving a lot of people a guy they don't necessarily want to see. They don't want like in that spot, maybe.
Yes.
So they've what someone might say is like they forced it down our throat, right? So they were doing all this, and then just to find out in the end that even though we already knew, just to add insult to injury, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, he's coming to UFC. Like all this, just to like basically give away the match ending, like we know what's gonna happen now. Like
effectively, yeah.
I mean, if Brock doesn't beat Roman, who's going to beat Brock now? Who's left? Like, I feel like, I don't know if Dana White came out and said this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Dana just sticking it to Vince McMahon? I mean, is this a good move or is this a bad move? What is this?
It depends,
you know what I mean?
On who you're asking. It's a bad move for WWE. It's a great move for Dana in UFC because if you remember, Dana was on the other side of this at 31. Because Dana had him signed. The deal was done, and then Brock went on ESPN and said he changed his mind.
Yeah.
So the deal, he was gone. So gamesmanship, baby. All's fair in war. Vince got him first. He got him back. And I think Dana was asked the question. To his credit, I don't want to put him out there like he just made a press conference just to say, hey, Brock's back. He asked the question and he answered the question. Will they shit on the match? I haven't in the time I've read this article and this news piece, I haven't had the ability to really decipher in my mind if I think this will happen. But I will tell you this. This is the first and the only time I've ever considered that maybe they shouldn't end the show.
No, yeah. I mean, that's another thought I have. Like, maybe end it on a high note because you got to consider it now at this point.
Yeah. It's
call the audible. Have Charlotte and Asuka finish the show,
well,
or AJ and Shinsuke, or Ronda and them, or whatever.
Yeah. I will say this. This is the risk you take when you have a guy like Brock Lesnar as your champion and you build your company around him. Nothing negative against Brock because Brock isn't doing anything he hasn't negotiated or earned.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
so yeah, I don't fault him for doing anything he's done because everything he's done, he had the leverage power to negotiate it and get it. Um, but when you have a guy like Brock who isn't doesn't care about, I'm sure he cares about his performance. I'm sure he cares about what he does in the ring, but he doesn't care about the company. He doesn't care about the business. He really doesn't care. For the most. I'm not gonna say completely, but it's very clear that he's not in it for the fans. I'm not saying he doesn't care about them, but he's not in it for them.
Or the boys.
Definitely not the boys, because he doesn't even talk to
Yeah.
them. He didn't even talk to
Yeah, exactly.
them. So, and the guy who has a very open love affair with a different sport. This is what you run into. So you hit the nail on the head. We've dealt with this for a year. If this is where we were going to end up, then Joe or Braun should have won the fucking title earlier this year. If
Yeah.
this is where we were going to end up, if you had an inkling, this is where we were going to end up, and you knew contract's up right after WrestleMania, Brock's gonna go and he's going to negotiate. This is who he is. Now the only saving grace is Brock has a USADA suspension that
Yeah.
he has to finish for 6 months. So technically, he could run it till SummerSlam.
That's true. And there's
He could.
also one other thing we haven't mentioned.
What's that?
Paul Heyman.
Oh,
And because Paul Heyman came out recently, I don't know if you saw this or not, and said that working with Roman Reigns would be a defining moment in his career.
oh, he loves Roman
Yeah, so
on
think
camera and
about
off.
this.
Yeah,
So think about that as the saving grace to this match potentially as well. The possibility that Paul Heyman, of all people, could be the one to get people like, okay, this is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying they could shit on the entirety of the match,
yeah.
but if Paul Heyman pulled
Turns on
something
Brock and goes to
and
Roman.
turned on Brock and went to Roman,
Yeah.
maybe it doesn't end in the worst way possible. I don't know for sure.
It's gonna end regardless because see that's the reason why I don't think Roman should turn heel.
Yeah,
Because if Roman turns heel, and I realize we've been through this a million times. This is who you got, Kobe or LeBron, who you got, uh, Peyton or Brady. Like this is just overdone talk, right? Roman turning
yeah.
heel and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But the reason why Roman should never turn heel is because the second he turns heel, you're either going to massively boo him and continue doing what you were doing in the first place, or he's going to get massively cheered. So
Yeah.
nothing you wanted from him turning heel is going to come about. And if you think he's over pushed now, Roman Reigns as a heel will be the most pushed guy in the history of wrestling. Because heels are always more visible, pushed harder, win more. That's the nature of the beast.
Right.
Because the face has to overcome them. Um, but yeah, so I don't. I think it'll be a well Heyman if that happens. Heyman turning on Brock to get with Roman will be the equivalent of Austin stunning Goldberg and Lesnar. Just something for the crowd to pop for.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like, what can Heyman really do in damage inflicting wise anyway?
He can't. But here's the saving grace. The saving grace about this match is the difference between this match and that match was, even though the crowd was never into it, they didn't care. Lesnar and Goldberg were so gone from the company mentally anyway, they didn't even care about the match.
Yeah.
We know Roman and Brock care about the match. And
Yeah.
they're out here to have a great match. And there's proof that they will have a great match because 31 was 10 minutes of greatness.
Oh, yeah. It was a great match.
So
Absolutely.
if nothing else, even if they do get massively booed, they can work through a lot of it to win the crowd over based on their ring work. That's one saving grace.
Yeah. And we're going to need it, maybe. I'm hyped for the match regardless.
Me too, man. It's gonna be a great
As
match.
long as Roman wins, I don't know if I'll be very happy if Brock wins.
Like I told you, and I'm gonna say it again, very, very openly and adamantly. If Brock Lesnar beats Roman Reigns, if Brock Roman beats Roman Reigns, it'll be the biggest burial in wrestling history. However, the only way you can save face is if Braun beats Brock the next night and kicks Brock out.
That's fair.
Because that's who the crowd wanted to win the title anyway,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. So
So
yeah,
that's the only saving grace. That way you have your you have your big Raw to WrestleMania moment. Roman gets quote unquote humbled like y'all want him to be humbled, the crowd, not me and you. You know, Brock gets sent on his way. You finally end the story arc with Brock and Braun, which should have ended at WrestleMania instead of with Roman. But you have a lot more winners than losers in the situation. And Roman is good enough to remake himself, but maybe that's the catalyst to go ahead and try Roman traditional heel turn. I don't know. But the status quo with knowing what we know now just can't be the same anymore.
yeah. I mean, before we close this up, I really think, and like we said, Brock, for all he is and for as much value as he does have, this last year to me, he's not trouble necessarily. I think he was overvalued this year. And I say that because I think it's been beyond time to move past him as your marquee draw guy. When the fans were hyped for Joe,
Mhm.
that was when I was like, it's
You
time.
realized it, yeah.
Okay, and then even more realized when they were so hyped for Braun. Roman is the least of the three that they're hyped for in these feuds with Brock when it comes to winning this title match.
Yeah.
People are ready, and even Roman's getting some cheers. People are ready for Brock. I don't know if go away is the right word, but they're ready
Not
for
to be
someone
kept.
else.
Somebody else
Yeah,
needs to have
and
the title, yes.
I feel like WWE has got to. I feel like they should have done it already, but this is the opportunity. If Brock is gone, let him go. And when I say that, I don't mean never bring Brock back. I just mean what I mean by that is don't put all your eggs in the Brock basket ever again. If he wants to come wrestle a match at WrestleMania, if you want to have him for some one-offs or something, fine. But no more world champ. None of this long-term shitting. Unless he goes to UFC and just whoops everybody's ass again, which I don't really foresee happening. So
No, he's going to be good at UFC because his
yeah,
health.
but I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if he's going to be like how he was, especially getting to where he's getting, and he's getting up a little older in age. And there's always some young cat ready to whoop ass, that's
Francis Ngannou. Yes. He's already said, I don't know. I know you have no idea who he is.
nope, sure
He
don't.
is the most feared striker in all of MMA. And he has openly said, I want Brock.
Well, there
That
you go.
is a terrifying fight for Brock. But yes, that's MMA talk. Um, you're absolutely right. My issue is more with him being champ and then not being a full-time champ than him being there. But think about this perspective trade. What if ultimately uh, Dana gets Brock back and keeps Punk, but Vince gets Ronda and Connor?
That would be
How
kind of
mad?
funny, wouldn't
How mad would Dana be?
it? Well, pretty fucking mad because Ronda is his woman cash cow and Connor is absolutely his male cash cow. So, and Punk can't beat anybody, so he's nothing. And then Brock is Brock, but
Brock is
yeah,
old and Brock
yeah,
is he has baggage and yeah, but that's what Dana's doing because see, this is another conversation we could have because this is my personal issue with Dana White as a promoter in general. Dana Dana makes a lot of personal decisions and Vince is notorious for making business decisions. Even when, Vince is always it's always business with him. And yeah, he always wants to look out for you personally, but it's business. But Dana won't give a guy a fight because he don't like a guy, stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
or very publicly feud with his champion. Stuff things
yeah,
like that nature. Things of that nature. So I say that to say this, that the way Dana has run that company, and don't get me wrong, it's extremely profitable, it's extremely successful. So I'm not saying he's doing anything technically wrong, but they have no draws anymore. They have no
yeah.
draws
You're right. Yeah,
because he double dipped too much in the Conor McGregor, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, John Jones pool.
right.
Ronda's gone. Brock left. Conor fell in love. Conor made $100 million boxing.
Yeah, he has. Why ever come back to
Doesn't make
fucking?
sense. Even though he's going to fight another fight, he's already scheduled to do so. And John Jones just can't stay out of trouble.
Yeah,
So you have stars, but it's kind of like NXT and WWE in that they're not known. Demetrius Johnson is the best fighter in the world, but he fights at 125. Nobody knows him. You won't even put him on the main card.
right,
But he's 11 title defenses. You won't give him the credit he deserves because he's destroying people. Because I guess maybe it's not interesting. But he's the best fighter in the world. He should be
right.
seen. So he has to go back to these old earmarks of Brock's gonna sell tickets. I just stripped Connor of his title, but he's gonna win tickets. GSP hasn't fought in 4 years, George St. Pierre. But you know what? He comes back first fight, gets a title championship. Like, and not saying that these guys aren't worthy, but you got you guys who your up and coming guys who TJ Dillashaw's and your Cody Garbrandts and your Rose Ninja Manunis or how you say her name. Like these people who have worked hard to get to a spot where they deserve to get the opportunity. No, it's kind of like when WCW and WWE were beefing and WCW wanted to make their mark, so they kept signing old guy after old guy after old guy. Hogan and Savage and Hall and Nash and Piper and Warrior and Flair and Dusty and DiBiase, just everybody who was hot in the 80s. And
Yeah,
Vince said, "Screw that. Let's go with Austin and Shawn and Hunter and Rock and Taker and
yeah,
Foley." You know, so it's funny how how WWE, in both aspects, continue to go with the new guys.
yeah. Even though nobody says that WWE gives the new guys shots,
They
you know what
give
I'm saying?
no, absolutely, they give
I just
nobody
had to
credit.
say that.
No, absolutely, but it's the truth. If Brock is gone and Taker and Cena aren't wrestling at this event, right? They don't have a
Yeah,
match. So Taker and Cena have a match. Brock is supposedly gone, right?
sure.
But after that, not counting the battle royals, who's the longest tenured guy on the card?
Longest tenured guy in the company,
Randy Orton.
or yeah, with Mark Henry retiring, yeah.
I'm talking about
Big
literally wrestling
Show.
on the card. Big Show isn't
Oh, on the
scheduled to wrestle
card.
on the card.
Okay, okay.
So all we hear is complaints that WWE won't move on or push newer guys. The only two guys on the card that are old guys that are booked that aren't in the battle royals are Orton and Brock. And
And they
Brock might be
also tend to forget sometimes that the guys that they love, that they, like AJ, he's also old. Like
yeah,
he's
but
not a
he's
young
new to
star.
WWE, but sure,
I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like Finn
absolutely,
Balor is old.
yeah,
Shinsuke Nakamura is old.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the young guys in that company are guys like Roman Reigns and Seth
Seth Rollins, Dean
Rollins.
Ambrose, Bray
And
Wyatt,
yeah,
yeah, Braun Strowman, yeah,
so even Braun's getting up there, but like that's I think he's like 33 or 34, but like they're in their primes. So, but I
absolutely
mean,
right. But
we're
I just
getting off, but you know what I'm saying here.
yeah,
Like
I
you're
just find that interesting.
so yeah, that's that's WrestleMania. We've been at it a long time.
Been a
If
long
you are if you are driving to New Orleans, I hope you're listening. Let's
time
put it that way.
because we'll
This will
get you
cut out.
there.
This is gonna cut out some time. Yeah, we'll get you to New Orleans on this baby. So I'm after that when we promote it, I'm gonna tweet it out like that too. Driving to New Orleans?
Listen to our podcast.
Yeah, listen to the pod, brother.
Before we finish, I want to give a rest in peace to Johnny Valiant. He was killed tonight. WWE Hall of Famer. He was
Yeah.
hit by a truck.
Wow.
It's sad whenever anybody dies, but it's really, really sad that a WWE Hall of Famer who doesn't get a lot of the credit he deserved. Because I mean, he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. I haven't watched a lot of his stuff, but I know he was great at what he did. Um, but right before WrestleMania, it's really sad. Right before the biggest week in wrestling, and a Hall of Famer dies. It's a really sad moment. So rest in peace to him and his family. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, man, we've run through the card. We had a good little uh, conversation about some non-WWE stuff. We ran through Takeover. I think we've had a full show, man, and I think this is a fitting way to end this chapter of the SMC podcast, and we're gonna move on to something different next week, brother. If you
Brother.
if you yeah, that was a teaser. That was a teaser.
I like it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, yo.
So yeah, tell them where they can find you, man, and give your last words, my brother.
Well, I haven't done I haven't done that in so long that I was like, what do you mean tell them where they can find me? So I'm one of the smart ones. I don't have Facebook, so my information is protected. But I do have Twitter, and you can find me at KERVINSMC. I'm there a lot, so that's my haven on social media. And I'm thinking maybe about connecting Periscope to the Twitter and doing some live stuff while I'm down in New Orleans. Thinking about it. We'll see. We'll see how if I can find some Wi-Fi, some spots that's not too crazy. I'm not blowing through data because I'm cheap and I share data plan with my wife. So fuck off. And that's it though, guys. That's where you can find me. Hit me up anytime. Seriously. Love to talk about wrestling. Love to argue with you. Yeah, man, that's it for me. I'm, hopefully, we did it justice on this SMC side, and we're gonna rebuild, redesign, reclaim.
Yeah.
Next week, and I hope I think everybody's gonna enjoy what we've got coming. And that's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot, and I hope if you guys, I'm sorry, one last thing. If you're in New Orleans, if you're not, if you're at home watching this, just enjoy it, guys. There's so much. It's going to be great. WrestleMania weekend. This is like the wrestling fans' pinnacle. You all know this, so I don't need to tell you. But if you're in New Orleans, be safe. Come say hi. I'll be down there. So come say hi. And please be safe. Like, I know there's a lot to do. New Orleans is a party city. There's a lot to do. You can drink a lot and do all kinds of fun stuff. Be careful. Don't drive drunk. Jesus, I'm serious. I know those things I feel like a dad. But yeah, I mean, just make good decisions. That's all I'm trying to say. And Dad will stop talking now, and I'll let Rance close it out. Peace out, guys.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done this. Wow. You can follow your boy at It's Ray Cash, REY as in Mysterio, CASH as in dollars. Will most assuredly be changing the Twitter handle for the podcast. So as of right now, it's at the SMC Podcast, but that will be different once we reboot next week. Um, you can still find us on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. So please follow us on that. Anywhere you listen to your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify now. We're in the big time. And yeah, show love to the other shows on the docket, if you will. Keeping the Strong Style at Chaos Strong Style, Ricky and Clive at Ricky and Clive, and One Nation Radio, the flagship at One Nation Radio. Um, yeah, and also I have been given the opportunity to have a morning show with my good friend and coworker, now my good friend and co-host, Jordan Fox, and that is the Good Brothers Wrestling Podcast. And yeah, we've been doing good work with that. Like, it's every morning you can catch us. Um, he is a contributor to Social Suplex, but he isn't quite. The show I don't believe is on there yet. But you can follow that at Good Bros BROS Podcast and follow him at Fox the Podcaster. But yeah, man, I'm in these audio streets, bruh. Uh, so I got my brother back. I got my show back. I got my morning show. So we got a lot of content coming for you guys. But thank you for everything that you guys have done with us and for us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. If you hate me, thank you for that, because I can be hateable at times. If you hate Karl, I love you because that brings me joy.
And I'm not very hateable, so it's kind of a rare
Shit.
thing.
Karl is the most hateable guy on Twitter. Um,
Sometimes.
yeah, once again, I want to show love and give one more thank you and one more shout out to our boy Caleb. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Good riddance.
At,
I didn't mean that. Love you, buddy.
yeah.
See you tomorrow.
But no, thank you guys for listening, and we are excited to see for you guys to see new chapters. So have a good night.